Chapter 3442. Eldest Senior Brother. It's me. Patriarch Xianchen said. Xianchen? What's the matter? Boss Bai asked lightly. The Heaven Step trial is about to begin. Logically speaking, you also have a spot on your side. When will you give me your disciples' information so that I can complete the registration? Patriarch Xianchen probed. You mean Lin Yi? Boss Bai was slightly stunned. Don't you have his information? You're letting Lin Yi come? You're not letting Guan Xian come? Patriarch Xianchen asked. Guan Xian? Boss Bai was slightly stunned. Inheritors also need to participate in the trial? Inheritors must participate in the trial. This time, I will arrange for all inheritors to receive the final inheritance in the trial ground. They will all be promoted to the peak of Heaven Level 8 stage, and their physiques will also undergo the final and complete change in preparation for the final plan. Patriarch Xianchen said. Then, Lin Yi can't participate? Boss Bai frowned. To be honest, he originally wanted to let Lin Yi go, and then wait for Lin Yi to pass the trial before taking him to participate in the Heaven Level meeting. But now, he couldn't even participate in the trial. Wasn't that equivalent to being rejected by the Heaven Level meeting? Then, wouldn't the opportunity to advance to Heavenly Dao be with Lin Yi? This wasn't what Boss Bai wanted to see. In fact, he also knew that Patriarch Xianchen was deliberately making things difficult. Wasn't the Five Elements sect in charge of the registration for the Heaven Level trial? If he let Lin Yi go, Lin Yi would definitely be able to go, but the main problem was on Patriarch Xianchen's side. Let's see. Patriarch Xianchen said. Right now, Lin Yi's strength is still too low. He chased after Kong Mingming to help him refine the qi-gathering pill. If his strength is higher, then there's no harm in letting him participate. The main thing is that I'm afraid that he'll die because he's too weak. Kong Mingming? Alchemy? Qi-gathering pill? Boss Bai also knew about this, but the so-called Lin Yi was too weak was just Elder Xuanchen's excuse. Yes, but Xiaoming's standards are limited. I don't know if he can successfully refine it. Even if he can, I'm afraid that Lin Yi will get sick from eating it. So, when you have time, persuade him not to chase after Xiaoming to refine pills, Patriarch Xianchen said. Of course, Boss Bai didn't know Elder Xuanchen's cunning mind. He just hinted to Boss Bai that Lin Yi wouldn't blame him even if he died. Therefore, Boss Bai said angrily, You have to keep your promise. This is the junior's business. Let's leave it alone. All right then, Patriarch Xianchen sighed, pretending to be displeased. In fact, he was overjoyed. Boss Bai was still as gullible as before. Everything was under his control. Anything else? Asked Boss Bai. There's nothing else. Since you've said so, I'll ask Kong Mingming to concoct pills. I don't care if he dies, Patriarch Xianchen said. Can you die from eating qi-gathering pill? Even if you don't eat it well, you won't get sick. Do you think you know more than me when discussing alchemy with me? Boss Bai asked lightly. Haha, of course not. Forget it, I'll hang up if there's nothing else. As for Guan Xian, you should also prepare for her to participate in the Heaven Class trial, Patriarch Xianchen said. After hanging up the phone, Patriarch Xianchen was very excited. This time, Lin Yi died from eating it. He could say that he had already told Boss Bai about it, but Boss Bai didn't listen to him. This time, he died because he deserved it. Lin Yi returned to Donghai City from the Song family. Shu was leaving. She had received an official notice from House Yu, so this time, Xiao Chen was going back to send her to Fiery Mountain. When he arrived at Donghai City, Lin Yi already saw Yui sitting in the living room of the villa. Yu Shu was a little depressed. During this period, she understood everything. She knew about House Yu's efforts all these years, and she also knew her own identity. This made her force a smile during this period of time. In fact, she was very lonely and repulsed in her heart. After so many years, she suddenly realized that the beliefs that she had been holding on to all these years didn't exist. Yu Xiaochun was her father. She had never met this father, but he gave her endless pressure. He made up a big lie with Yui, causing Yushu to have no father-daughter feelings for him at all. He didn't let her go back to House Yu, and she was too lazy to go back. The Chun family was her home. The villas in Donghai and Songshan were her home. where Lin Yi and Meng Yao were. That was her home. Mr. Yui, you're here. Lin Yi entered the villa and nodded to him. Yui smiled bitterly. Yushu's identity was exposed, and he didn't need to hide it anymore. He looked at Lin Yi and said, Miss Yushu doesn't care about me, and she doesn't talk to me. Young hero Lin, you see? It's time for her to leave for Fiery Mountain. Before, Yui could still use Yushu's parents to threaten her. That was a high and mighty attitude. But now, Yushu's identity was exposed. She was also the young miss of House Yu. How could Yui dare to order her around? Besides, even if he wanted to order her around, it had to be Yushu who listened to him. Yushu was no longer the Yushu of the past. With Lin Yi's protection, not to mention the hidden House Yu, even the Five Elements sect didn't dare to order her around. In the world of practitioners, strength was everything. To put it bluntly, whoever was stronger would have more influence. Shu, pack up and get ready. We have to accept the inheritance sooner or later. The sooner we accept it, the sooner we can reunite with Yao Yao. Isn't this the life you've always wanted? Lin Yi smiled. Shield bro, you're back. Shu didn't say I wouldn't go. I just don't have anything in common with this old man. Yushu saw that Lin Yi was back. She was like a different person from before. She was happy all of a sudden, and Yui didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Haha, that's good. I told you that there's no way you wouldn't want to go. Lin Yi smiled. Then let's pack up and get ready to go. Shu's packed up. We're just waiting for Shield bro, Yushu said, as she skipped up the stairs. Evidently, she was going to get something. Yui saw that Yushu agreed to go to Fiery Mountain so easily. He didn't know what to say. He looked at Lin Yi and said, Young hero Lin, you're the best. I've been trying to persuade her for a long time, but Miss Yushu just won't talk to me. Chapter 34-43. Miss Yushu is indeed. I'm considered lucky. It seems like Miss Yushu still has some feelings for me, because I'm from House Yu. Yui nodded and laughed at himself. Right. What's the arrangement? Are we going to Fiery Mountain directly? Lin Yi asked. Yes, it's already arranged. We'll just go there directly. Yui said, I hope that Master Lin can accompany us on the way. Otherwise, I'm afraid that Miss Yushu will have some conflict. Don't worry, I'll definitely go, not only because of Shu, but also because I promised a friend that I'd help him save someone. Lin Yi was talking about Hui Yenyun's playmate, Yang Shuaizhen. That's good. Yui breathed out in relief. It didn't take long for Yushu to pack up and come downstairs with a bag on her back. Just this much? Lin Yi looked at Yushu's backpack and was surprised. Wasn't this too little? There's not much to take, actually. It's just a laptop with pictures and videos of me, Yao Yao, and Shield bro in there. Shu can look at it when she's lonely. I'm sure there are other daily necessities there, Yushu said. Lin Yi nodded silently. Yushu was right. What didn't Fiery Mountain have? The young head, Hui Yenyun, was Lin Yi's follower. If Yushu went, she'd be treated like a VIP. Right? Where's Xinyan and Pangolin? Lin Yi asked. Xinyan's sis went to school. Pangolin's resting in his room. Yu Dake went to Songshan to see Yu Xiaoka, Yushu said. Oh, that's why I didn't see them, Lin Yi realized. School started again in the blink of an eye. Lin Yi took out his phone and was about to call Bai Weidua to tell him that he couldn't go to school for a while. He'd ask him to take care of Xinyan so that he'd be the first to know if anything happened to her. Although Lin Yi had left a lot of energy stones for Xinyan, he was still worried that something might happen to her. He dialed Bai Weitua's number, but the sound of the phone being turned off came from the other side, which made Lin Yi slightly surprised. It was not evening but daytime. Why didn't Bai Weitua turn on his phone? Could it be that he was in class? However, Bai Weitua would also set his phone to vibrate during class. With that in mind, Lin Yi sent a message to Xinyan. Xinyan, I'm back. I'm bringing Shu to Fiery Mountain. Tell Bai Weidua to give me a call when you see him. It wasn't long before Xinyan replied. I'm at school. Isn't Bai Weitua traveling overseas? He's not back yet. He's not back yet? Lin Yi looked at the message. School was already starting, and he wasn't back yet. What a joke. However, Lin Yi didn't think much about it. According to Bai Weiduo's exam results last semester, he also had the right to ask for leave. This was the privilege of Boss Bai's class. Just like Lin Yi, the top few students in the final exam also had the right to ask for leave whenever they wanted. Alright then, we're leaving. Are you coming back? Lin Yi asked. No, I still have classes here. Have a safe trip. Xinyan didn't come back because she had just seen Lin Yi. There was no need for her to come back. Putting away his phone, Lin Yi nodded to Yui. Let's go. Shall we leave now? Did you drive here? No. Yui was a bit embarrassed. He was a practitioner, and he rarely drove. He always walked, maintaining his ancient style. I'll drive then. Lin Yi didn't say much. The three left the courtyard and got on the Jeep Cherokee. Fiery Mountain was deep in the Hakonamada Desert, so Lin Yi knew the general direction. Thank you, Master Lin. Yui nodded and sat in the back, giving the passenger seat to Yushu. The car went all the way to the Hakonamada Desert. Lin Yi had driven this road back and forth many times. He was very familiar with it, but this time he felt a little sad. Yushu was in the car, looking here and there, curious about everything, but Lin Yi could see the disappointment in her eyes. Even if she didn't show it, Lin Yi could still feel it. However, he didn't expose her. Instead, he accompanied her and laughed along the way. They talked about a lot of interesting things, including what happened in the Song family and Xiao heir of the Five Elements sect being killed. Haha, that elder Xianchen of Five Elements sect must be angry to death, right? Most of his disciples were crippled or killed by you. He's really unlucky to go against Shield Bro. Yushu laughed after hearing it and then said sarcastically, I don't know why the Hidden House Yu is so afraid of this Five Elements sect. They really have no guts. Yui sat in the back, and he was a little embarrassed. He thought to himself, you have Lin Yi to support you, so you're not afraid? But we are. The Five Elements sect can't do anything to Lin Yi, but destroying House Yu is a piece of cake for them. Moreover, they didn't know that Lin Yi could grow so strong. When they first heard about Lin Yi was still a mystic class master, and in the blink of an eye, he stood at the peak of the whole world of practitioners. Who could explain this change? Okay, Shu, some things have to be faced eventually. You can't not see your birth parents for the rest of your life, can you? Lin Yi smiled bitterly. When that time comes, I'm afraid Xiaoning won't be happy, right? Okay, then I'll listen to Shield Bro, whatever you say. Yushu nodded. They talked and laughed along the way, and finally, the three of them entered Hakonamada Desert. However, the direction of Fiery Mountain was completely different from the direction of Paoli Clan. The desert was very big, and they were in the opposite direction. It was already very hot in the desert, but as the car moved forward, the weather became hotter and hotter. They were probably not far from Fiery Mountain. However, Lin Yi and Yushu were fine, but Yui was sweating profusely. He used to be the strongest among them, and he couldn't complain at this moment. He could only endure it silently, but he almost fainted in the end. Then, Lin Yi turned on the car's air conditioner, and Yushu laughed like crazy. Young hero Lin, why didn't you turn on the air conditioner earlier? Yui felt a little better, and said gloomily. Chapter 34-44. Yeah, we're having fun, Yushu nodded. Yui had been teased and mocked by Yushu along the way, but he accepted it. Who asked him to play the bad guy in front of Yushu? It was natural for him to be teased now. Not to mention Yushu's identity as the young miss of House Yu. Even if Lin Yi was beside her, he wouldn't dare do anything. Finally, it was no longer a desert in front of them, but a place that looked like a mountain. A mountain gate appeared in front of them, blocking their advance. Of course, they could go around it, but subconsciously, Lin Yi felt that this was their destination. This Fiery Mountain? Lin Yi looked at the map Yui gave him, comparing it to the map. It should be here. Yui had never been here before, but this was the only possible place in this direction. Just when everyone was confused, suddenly, 2 men in fiery red robes appeared in front of Lin Yi's car. They shouted at Lin Yi and the others, "This is private land. If you are an explorer, please go back. We don't accept explorations here, and it's very dangerous." Lin Yi opened the window and looked at the 2 men. "This is Fiery Mountain?" The 2 men paused, hearing Lin Yi say the words Fiery Mountain. They were surprised. "Who are you? Why are you here? What's your purpose?" With that, the 2 showed their strength at the early phase of Sky class. From their point of view, since Lin Yi knew about this place, he could also be a practitioner. The reason they showed their strength was to intimidate Lin Yi. After all, the early phase of Sky class, even in the ancient times, was not weak. "We're from the Central Plains. I'm the representative of the Hidden House Yue. We've been ordered to meet the rocket cannon headmaster. This is a letter from the head of our Hidden House Yue." At this time, Yuan walked down from the car and spoke to the 2 respectfully. However, in order to show that he was a cultivator and not a fake, he had to make sure that he was not a fake. Yue also revealed his strength as an early-stage heaven ranker. "Hidden House Yue?" One of them glanced sideways at Yue and his attitude became incomparably cold. Although Yue's strength was the same as theirs, he didn't look up to him at all. How could a hidden aristocratic family's early-stage heaven rank expert compare to an ancient sect? "That's right, the Hidden House Yue." Yuan nodded. "Hidden House Yue?" He had never heard of such a small family. "If you want to see our sect master, then just wait. We will inform you when we have time," the man said arrogantly. He didn't have the slightest intention of immediately informing the sect master. Yue was slightly stunned. Then he smiled bitterly and added, "Our patriarch sent us here under the order of Patriarch Xianchen of the 5 Elements sect." "Oh, what do you mean? You still want to use the 5 Elements sect to pressure us? All right, you can leave if you don't want to see us." The man looked at Yue coldly and said mockingly, "You guys." Yue was really helpless. He didn't expect these 2 to be so difficult to talk to. But this was an ancient sect, not some other aristocratic family or hidden aristocratic family. So it was not easy to make these 2 obedient and help. Lin Yi couldn't stand it anymore. He didn't like to use his identity and strength to pressure people, but these 2 people were really a bit too much. Lin Yi looked at them indifferently and said, "Let Hu Xiaoyan come out and welcome me."
Huh?
The man was stunned and turned to look at Lin Yi. But then he laughed. "Ha ha ha. Welcome you? Who do you think you are? Welcome you? What a joke. A small hidden house Yue, do they really think they're that big? It's up to you whether you want to notify them or not. If Yang Shuaisian dies, you 2 will be responsible," Lin Yi said indifferently. "What?" The 2 of them were stunned. They looked at each other in shock. Before, they thought that Lin Yi was also from the Hidden House Yue, but Lin Yi said Hu Xiaoyun and Yang Shuaisian's names one after another. This wasn't as simple as a Hidden House Yue. Hu Xiaoyun was fine, but Yang Shuaisian was an elder's grandson. He didn't show his face much. Not only did Lin Yi say it, but he also pointed out something. It meant that he knew Yang Shuaisian was injured. If that was the case, "Who are you?" The leading man in red looked at Lin Yi and asked. "Hu Xiaoyun called me boss."
Who do you think I am?
Lin Yi said indifferently. The 2's expression changed. They hesitated. Although they didn't know if it was true or not, they still said, "Please wait, we'll go notify them." "May I know your name?" Lin Yi said indifferently. "What? You're Lin Yi." The leading man in red staggered and almost fell on his butt. He could ignore Yue's name, but Lin Yi's name was very famous. Moreover, Lin Yi wasn't bragging. Their young master, Hu Xiaoyun, had been talking about this name recently. He told everyone he met that his boss was Lin Yi, and how amazing he was. Whatever he did today, he would do tomorrow. As long as it was news of Lin Yi in the ancient era, he would find out and tell the people in the sect. Although everyone's ears had calluses from hearing it, they also remembered this name deeply. They knew how amazing Lin Yi was. He could even kill the masters of the 5 Elements sect. He wasn't a simple character. So the man in red was stunned. The other man in red quickly pulled the stunned man in red and said, "So, it's young hero Lin." We've heard of your great name for a long time. We admire you. Young hero Lin, please come with us and rest in the guest room. We'll immediately notify the young master to welcome you. If this person was really Lin, then it was normal for him to humble himself. At that time, not only would Hua Xiaoyun not scold them, but he would also praise them. However, if it wasn't for Lin, then Hua Xiaoyun would naturally deal with him. There was no loss. Well, you lead the way. Lin nodded indifferently. Yui was dumbfounded. It turned out that Lin Yi's name was already well known in these ancient sections. He was really a powerful character. He'd been talking to them for half a day, and they didn't even bother reporting to him. But the moment Lin Yi opened his mouth, the two of them became so respectful. They really couldn't be compared. Chapter 30, 445. After entering the mountain entrance, Lin Yi couldn't help but gasp in amazement. This was actually a scenic area surrounded by mountains. Outside was a circle of tall mountains, and inside, there was another huge mountain. If it wasn't so hot here, it would probably be a good tourist attraction. Under the lead of two men in red, Lin Yi, Yushu, and Yui were brought to a place that looked like a gazebo. What surprised Lin Yi was that on the gazebo, there were 3 big words written in flamboyant calligraphy, Guest Hall. He didn't expect that the guest hall of Fiery Mountain was actually outdoors. This also showed how hot this place was throughout the year. Of course, this was also because Fiery Mountain had inherited ancient customs. Otherwise, they could have installed air conditioning indoors like the Paoli clan. Lin Yi and the other two sat down, and a disciple served herbal tea. The herbal tea was refreshing and delicious, a specialty of this place. After drinking it, Lin Yi couldn't help but praise it. As for Yushu, she asked the disciple to bring more herbal tea. The disciple didn't dare to delay, and quickly agreed. Not long after, before the disciple returned, he saw Hua Xiaoyun rushing over in a hurry. Seeing Lin Yi, he was surprised and happy. Boss Lin Yi, you're finally here. I've missed you so much. I wanted to find you, but I was afraid that you wouldn't be here. Haha, I was really busy a while ago. Otherwise, I would have come here long ago. Lin Yi nodded. This is Yushu, your inheritor here. I'll leave her in your care from now on.
Ah.
Don't worry, isn't this sis-in-law Shu? Treat this place like your own home. Hua Xiaoyun saw that Yushu was an inheritor and was a little surprised. He didn't expect Shu to really be an inheritor. Didn't this mean that from now on she and Lin Yi were a family? He. Shu likes this title. I'll give you 10 points. Yushu nodded happily. Lin Yi couldn't help but smile. And Yui didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Not long after, an old man walked over quickly as if he was flying. Before he arrived, his voice could be heard. Is young hero Lin here? Bazooka, I've failed to welcome you from afar. Please forgive me. Behind him, there was an old man who spoke respectfully. This old man is Yang Dingtian. I welcome young hero Lin's arrival. Yang Dingtian was obviously more humble than Rocket Launcher. Obviously, he knew that if he wanted his grandson to live, then he had to let Lin Yi take action. Therefore, he simply regarded himself as being in the same position as Hua Xiaoyun. It turns out that Elder Hua and Elder Yang are here. Lin Yi did not put on airs at this time and stood up directly. After all, they gave Lin Yi face. Lin Yi also gave them face. This was Burning Cloud sect, so Lin Yi could not be as arrogant as he was in other sections. I am Yu Yi of the Hidden House Yu. Under the orders of Yu Xing, I am escorting the inheritor here. This is a letter from our house Yu. Please have a look, Elder Hua. Yu Yi bowed respectfully and presented a letter.
Haha.
So it is Mr. Yu Yi. Please rise. Those who came with young hero Lin are our Fiery Mountain's distinguished guests. No need to stand on ceremony. Rocket Launcher laughed and quickly walked over to take the letter. Yu Yi almost teared up. It was so different being with Lin Yi. If Lin Yi did not come and Yu Yi came by himself, how difficult would it be to enter this door? And enter the door. It might not be so easy to see Rocket Launcher. And even if he saw Rocket Launcher, he might not be so enthusiastic. Of course, what Yui didn't know was that Huamingyun knew Yushu. If he knew that Yushu was the inheritor, he would probably be just as enthusiastic.
Don't worry about him.
This old man is annoying, Yushu said.
Ah?
Rocket Launcher paused. He looked at Lin Yi and asked, "This lady is, Grandpa, she is Yushu. She is our inheritor and also Boss Lin Yi's mistress." Hua Shouyun quickly introduced Yushu. He was afraid that his grandpa would be disrespectful to Yushu and make Lin Yi unhappy.
Ah?
Rocket Launcher paused again and nodded. "So, it is young hero Lin's mistress, Miss Chen. Sorry for not recognizing you.
Don't worry.
This is our fiery mountain. Treat it like your own home.
We are not outsiders."
Hua Yun is young hero Lin's follower. If there is anything, let him do it. Haha, then I won't hold back. Yushu was satisfied at least for now. This sect could be said to be Lin Yi's direct subordinates. If she wanted to contact Lin Yi, she could do so at any time. She was not as restrained as Tang Yunsis and Xiao Xiao. Yushu is also from the Hidden House Yu. She just had some misunderstanding with the Hidden House Yu. Lin Yi explained. Yi sent her here this time. Okay, I understand. Rocket Launcher nodded. Okay, everyone. Let's go to the guest room and rest for a while. Tonight, we will host a banquet. How about it? No need. I will go see Yang Shueishan first. Lin Yi waved his hand. My purpose here is also for Hua Shouyun's brother, Yang Shueishan. Wouldn't it be too much trouble for young hero Lin? Yang Dingtian burst into tears. He didn't expect Lin Yi to go see Yang Shueishan right after he arrived. How could he not be touched? Boss, you know me well. Shall we go now? Hua Shouyun and Lin Yi were familiar with each other, so he was more casual. He looked at Lin Yi excitedly. Let's go. You lead the way. Lin Yi said, Mr. Yui, take Yushu to rest for a while. I will come back for the banquet tonight. No problem. Yui nodded. Young hero Lin, don't worry. Lin Yi nodded to Rocket Launcher and Yang Dingtian and followed Hua Shouyun to the cave where Yang Shueishan was. Although Rocket Launcher and Yang Dingtian wanted to follow, they were the hosts. They couldn't leave Yui and Yushu alone, so they could only give up. The two of them personally led Yui and Yushu to the guest room. The two disciples in red were speechless. They almost offended these guests. It seemed like they had to be more passionate in the future. However, Fiery Mountain didn't have many guests all year round. They had unknowingly developed this arrogant temperament. Yang Shueishan's corpse was placed in the cave of Fiery Mountain. Because of Yang Shueishan's fire attribute, it was guaranteed that she would still be alive and wouldn't die immediately. Hua Shouyun carefully opened the sealed stone door and reminded Lin Yi, It's very hot here. Boss Lin Yi, you have to be careful. Chapter 3446. Oh. Lin Yi paused. He didn't feel that hot. In fact, they had come to the Hakanamata Desert and entered Flaming Mountain. There was definitely heat, but it didn't feel like it was unbearably hot. Yui was sweating profusely, but Lin Yi and Yushu were fine. It was understandable that Yushu was the inheritor, but Lin Yi was a practitioner of the 5 elements and 7 elements. He had a fire element in his body, so it was reasonable that he wasn't afraid of heat. Lin Yi also had the constitution that these fire element practitioners had, but he was stronger than them, not weaker than them. It's okay, I have a fire element in my body too. Lin Yi shook his head and quickly entered the cave. Yang Shueishan was lying on a rock in the cave, his face dark and blue. Very ugly. If it wasn't for the very weak chi waves, Lin Yi would have thought that he was dead. But that didn't matter. As long as he was still breathing, Lin Yi would be able to heal him. Protect me, I'll heal him, said Lin Yi. In fact, there was no need for protection in Flaming Mountain. This was Hua Haoyun's territory, but Lin Yi was used to it. Okay, boss, don't worry, I won't let anyone disturb your treatment, Hua Haoyun said quickly. Lin Yi nodded and sat cross-legged. He used his hand to check Yang Shueishan's pulse, and then activated the art of dragon mastery to heal him. Yang Shuaizhen's injury was very serious. Even though Lin Yi was now at the perfect third stage of the art of dragon mastery, he still needed some time to heal. Hua Haoyan looked at Lin Yi nervously, although he knew that Lin Yi was confident. But he couldn't relax until he saw Yang Shuaizhen recover. Time passed, minute by minute, second by second. Lin Yi finally stopped the incantation, and Yang Shuaizhen's face changed from green to red. Although it was white with a hint of red. It wasn't very healthy, but it was obvious that he was like a normal person, just a little weak. All right, that's enough. Lin Yi stood up. He should wake up soon. That's great, boss. Thank you so much. Otherwise, Shuaizhen wouldn't be able to leave this cave. Hua Haoyan sighed. It's nothing. Lin Yi waved his hand. Hua Haoyan, it's our relationship. Don't be so polite. As he said this, Yang Shuaizhen opened her eyes in a daze. Before she could clearly see her surroundings, she shouted, "The everyday and everyday sect. You're so vicious." The environment of this cave was pretty much the same as the cave in the trial, and Yang Shuaizhen's memories were still stuck at the moment when she was hit by Naipeo. That was why he subconsciously called out to her. "Shuaizhen, how are you?" Hua Haoyan heard Yang Shuaizhen's voice, surprised and happy. He quickly ran over and crouched down.
Ah.
Yang Shuaizhen heard Hua Haoyan's voice. She paused and opened her eyes to see that it was Hua Haoyan in front of her, not Zhang Naipeo. She let out a breath of relief. "It's Huayun, bro. Why am I here? Didn't I go to the trial?" "Shuaizhen, the trial is over. You were heavily injured by Zhang Naipeo of the everyday and everyday sect, and you only had one breath left. In order to keep you alive, my grandpa put you in the cave on Flaming Mountain. That's why you've survived until now," Hua Haoyan explained. "So that's how it is." "Yeah, I thought I was going to die." Yang Shuaizhen nodded, but found it strange. "Then how did I recover? Did you guys find me a 4th level supreme level pill?" "No, it's not that. It's my boss, Master Lin Yi, who saved you." "Shuaizhen, get up. You have to thank boss for saving you," Hua Haoyan said. "Lin Yi." Yang Shuaizhen paused. She had an impression of this name. He was the only one who could go against Zhang Naipeo in the trials, but why was he Hua Haoyan's boss now? But Yang Shuaizhen wasn't an idiot. Someone who could make Hua Haoyan respect him wholeheartedly had to have some skill, and just the fact that he could save her meant that he wasn't a normal person. Yang Shuaizhen quickly got up and bowed to Lin Yi. "Thank you, Master Lin, for saving me. I'll be like Huayun bro in the future, doing everything I can for you." "Haha, there's no need for that as long as you're fine." Lin Yi smiled. "In the future, train hard in the sect and don't get into conflict with people like Zhang Naipeo with your arrogance." "I understand. This trial also let me know that there's always someone better out there. Only people like Master Lin can look down on other practitioners. I'm still far from that level." Yang Shuaizhen had died once and understood many things. "All right, it's time for the banquet. Let's go." Lin Yi nodded. "Okay, I feel like I haven't eaten for a long time. I'm a little hungry." Yang Shuaizhen was happy. The three of them returned to the living room of Fiery Mountain. Yushu and Yu Yi had already been arranged to rest, but Rocket Launcher and Yang Dingtian heard that Yang Shuaizhen had woken up and could walk on his own, as if nothing had happened, and ran over excitedly. "Shuaizhen, are you alright?" Yang Dingtian was so excited that he was shaking. In his mind, Lin Yi could save Yang Shuaizhen's life, and he could even make him a cripple, but now he could walk. "Yes, Grandpa, not only that, but I still have my strength. This time, I have to thank Master Lin." Yang Shuaizhen was also very excited. "Master Lin, I don't know what to say. I really can't thank you enough." Yang Dingtian looked at Lin Yi, tears running down his old face, and the gratitude in his heart could no longer be expressed in words. "This is what I should do. Huayun is my follower, and his friend is in trouble. I can't just ignore it." Lin Yi waved his hand. "Ugh. Boss, me too. You won't abandon me, will you?" Yang Shuaizhen quickly said after hearing this. "You're following Huxianyun, so naturally, you're following me. I won't just stand by and watch your matters." Lin Yi smiled. Haha, that's good. Yang Shuaisian heard this and immediately became happy. Chapter 30, 447. Although Lin Yi wanted to stay longer with Yushu, Yu Yi had to send Yu Ning to the endless West Sea after sending her off. Lin Yi also had to say goodbye to Yu Ning and find little Jiu before heading to Yellow Earth High Sect. In the past, Lin Yi always thought that it would be a while before the inheritors left, but he suddenly realized that it was already right in front of him. Was Sky Class Island about to open? Who knew what was on Sky Class Island? Would he meet Zhongliju? In that case, would there be experts as common as the clouds? Would he be able to successfully land on Heaven Stage Island? In other words, could the Heaven Stage Island be successfully opened? All of this was unknown. Thinking of this, Lin Yi was a little lost, but for Yu Xiaoka, for Armadillo, for those inheritors, Lin Yi had to continue, no matter how difficult the road ahead was. Lin Yi had a feeling that Sky Class Island was the real beginning of his life. After all, he went from the lowest level of a practitioner to the height he was today. Lin Yi looked at the current world of practitioners and felt that the landscape was still too small. Those legendary figures, Lin Yi didn't meet any of them. Fourth-level refiner, blacksmith, mender, and so on, as well as those powerful divine weapons, Lin Yi didn't meet any of them. Although there were Sky-class masters using Sky-class divine weapons, from what Lin Yi saw, most of them were infused with qi and used with martial arts to achieve a stronger effect.
But
was a heaven-ranked divine weapon only used as a weapon to carry the load? Lin Yi felt that the current divine weapons were still a little lacking, and Shinong Cauldron was a top-level divine weapon. It was just that it was broken and he didn't know how to repair it. The next morning, Lin Yi said goodbye to Rocket, Yushu, and the others. He was going back to the hidden house with Yu Yi. On the way back, without Yushu's laughter, Lin Yi and Yu Yi didn't talk at all. And Yu Yi. He really didn't know what to say to Lin Yi. When they were almost at the hidden house, Yu Yi asked, "Young hero Lin, are you coming with me to the hidden house? Let's go see Xiaoning. After all, she's about to leave," Lin Yi said sadly.
all right.
Young hero Lin. Yu Yi hurriedly nodded.
Cars.
They drove all the way to the hidden house. With Yui sitting in the car didn't encounter any obstruction and went smoothly. Finally, it stopped at House Yu's parking lot. Yu Xing, who had rushed here after hearing the news, was also waiting in the parking lot. This time, Lin Yi's visit was different from the last time. Last time, although Yu Xing respected Lin Yi, he was also worried and afraid of the 5 Elements sect behind him, so he didn't dare to be too close to Lin Yi. But now, Yu Xing had received the news of the 5 Elements sect's death. Lin Yi actually killed so many 5 Elements sect's disciples, and Elder Xianchen actually endured it. It was clear what this meant. And this time, Yu Yi also reported to Yu Xing truthfully about the trip to Fiery Mountain. Yu Xing knew that if it wasn't for Lin Yi, Yu Yi wouldn't have been able to complete the missions so smoothly. Young hero Lin, welcome to our hidden house again. Yu Xing strode over and personally opened the car door for Lin Yi. Elder Yu, no need to be so polite. With our relationship, you're like my grandfather. I'm too embarrassed to be so polite. Lin Yi quickly stopped Yu Xing and said, "Xiaoning, Xiaoshu, and I are of the same generation. You can just treat me as a junior in the family." Haha, alright, then I won't be so courteous. But young hero Lin, you don't have to be so courteous either. Just treat this as your own home. Yu Xing suddenly paused and said, "I heard that Mr. Lin has created a practitioners' union. I wonder if the hidden house you can join?"
Oh?
Lin Yi paused and understood immediately. This was Yu Xing's way of showing his goodwill. Yu Xing had probably noticed something as well. Currently, in the world of practitioners, there weren't many who could touch Lin Yi. This way, the hidden house wouldn't have to worry too much about the 5 Element sect. As long as Lin Yi could manage the hidden house that Elder Xianchen wouldn't dare to do anything unless he wanted all his disciples to die. You can sign up with Ling Shan from the Occult Investigation Department. She'll be in charge of the Occult Investigation Department from now on. She's the vice chairman of the association. She's also the vice chairman of the investigation department. All right, I'll remember it. I'll talk to the other hidden houses and sects about it. We'll all join and receive young hero Lin's protection. Yu Xing said. All right, I'll have to trouble you then, Elder Yu. Lin Yi naturally wanted the other hidden houses and sects to join union, but with Lin Yi's current status, it wasn't appropriate for him to ask them to join. Elder Yu was doing this right now. Leave it to me then. Elder Yu nodded and said, Right, Xiaoning hasn't been in a good mood these 2 days. Young hero Lin, could you go talk to her for a bit? All right, that's why I'm here. Lin Yi replied. Under Yu Xing and Yu Yi's lead, Lin Yi came to Yu Ning's room. Yu Ning was sitting quietly in front of the window, deep in thought. She didn't turn around when she heard the footsteps. She only said softly, I'm ready. We can leave for the endless West Sea tomorrow. Xiaoning, I'm here. Lin Yi walked in quickly, his heart aching. She was the same as Shu, shouldering such an important mission. Although she was the little princess of House Yu and seemed to be stronger than Yushu, in fact, Yushu was right. Yushu was much freer and happier than her. Yu Ning was a bird in a cage, unable to fly out of the cage of House Yu. She had no friends, and she couldn't do what she liked. She spent every day in loneliness. In the past, Lin Yi sympathized with Shu, but at this moment, Lin Yi felt that Yu Ning was the most pitiful one. Lin Yi, you're here? Yu Ning looked back with some surprise. Her eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. She didn't expect Lin Yi to come again before she left. Yeah, I just sent Shu away, so I came to see you. Lin Yi nodded. Actually, you don't have to be so sad. When the things on Heavenly Island are over, we can come back. No one can control us then. Chapter 34:48. Yu Ning heard Lin Yi's words and was suddenly filled with hope. She turned to look at Lin Yi. I've heard a lot about you these days. Now you're even stronger than the ancient people, right? Girls always hoped that their Mr. Right was the best and the strongest, and Yu Ning was the same. Haha, I'm not that much stronger than them. At least, they can't do anything to me. Lin Yi smiled. So, in the future, you don't have to be afraid. I'll follow you all the way, including when you go to Sky Class Island. Yeah, you have so many wives, all inheritors, of course you have to follow. Yu Ning glanced at Lin Yi. Most importantly, I still have you, right? Lin Yi smiled as he held Yu Ning's hand. And Yu Ning responded with an inaudible sound. Yu Xing and Yu Yi had already retreated. They believed that nothing would happen between Lin Yi and Yu Ning. At this moment, Lin Yi was a senior master. In their hearts, he was an existence that they couldn't simply doubt. Lin Yi and Yu Ning didn't have much to say at this moment. When the two of them were together, they communicated more spiritually than words. It was a feeling and tacit understanding. The two of them stood in front of the window, hand in hand, under the sunset, enjoying the peace of parting. But time flew, and in the blink of an eye, the sun had set. House Yu's banquet had begun. Lin Yi and Yu Ning appeared in the banquet hall of House Yu, but no one said a word. Even Yu Xiaochun ignored them. Elder Yu, Uncle Yu. Lin Yi greeted Yu Xing and Yu Xiaochun politely. The two of them were flattered, especially Yu Xiaochun. At this moment, if he could say that Lin Yi was Yu Xiaochun's son-in-law, then Yu Xiaochun's status in the world of practitioners would instantly rise. Those ancient masters wouldn't dare provoke him. They'd take a detour. Who wasn't afraid of death? Young hero Lin, you're too polite. Yu Xiaochun quickly said, Quick, please sit. You're an important guest of the Hidden House Yu. I hope that young hero Lin will come visit more often in the future. Even if Ning leaves, this is still your home, isn't it? There's also Shu. Lin Yi paused. Yu Xiaochun meant that Yu Ning and Yu Shu would be with Lin Yi in the future. Of course, it would be after the Sky Class Island project, but at least he wouldn't have any conflict with Lin Yi. Thinking about it, this was actually the reality. Many of these large families prioritized benefits. Now that Lin Yi's reputation could bring them enough benefits, they would naturally have such an attitude. Even if Lin Yi, Yu Ning, and Yu Shu went to Sky Class Island in the future, there would still be a lot of Lin Yi's people in the common world. Unknowingly, Lin Yi's loyal followers had spread all over the realms, and their strength wasn't any weaker than Lin Yi's. Once those masters left, the world would be theirs. If the hidden house you could ride on this momentum, they'd definitely continue to shine. Yu Xiaochen didn't even think about the Sky-class island project. With his strength, it had nothing to do with him. Including Yu Xing, his first thought was to develop House Yu as well. He didn't think about breaking through to the next level, and so they were stuck at the hidden level. At most, they'd wait for Lin Yi to rise, and they'd rise to the ancient level. When that time came, perhaps many years later, they'd have the thought of breaking through to the next level. This was something that they could say and think about at any time. Because of the hidden House Yu's attention, this meal was joyous and harmonious, and Yuning was very happy. Her father Yu Xiaochen had finally given her a clear answer. In the past, Yuning didn't care about others, but Yu Shu. Ever since she found out that Yu Shu was her sister, she'd been worried. It was normal for a practitioner like this to have multiple wives and concubines, so it wasn't surprising. However, for a pair of sisters to marry the same person at the same time was a bit unrealistic, and the families usually wouldn't do that in order to maximize their benefits. But now, it seemed that the family valued Lin Yi's strong charisma, and no one could be compared to him, so the hidden House Yu made the final decision. Happy times were always short-lived. Tomorrow morning, Yu Ning and Yu Yi would head to the endless West Sea, and Lin Yi couldn't go there. First, he didn't know anyone, and second, he had to send 2 Ranran back to Huang Tugao sect. After saying goodbye to Yu Ning, Lin Yi also drove back to Donghai City. On the way, Lin Yi called Bai Weidua again, but on the other side of the phone, it was still turned off. Lin Yi was a bit puzzled. The phones nowadays could be used for roaming, and even if he was overseas, the original number should still be able to receive calls. Even if the phone ran out of battery and was turned off, why was it still turned off? Could it be that there was a problem? But Bai Weidua was just going for a vacation. What problem could there be? In fact, what Lin Yi didn't know was that Bai Weidua and his group really had a problem. Bai Weidua and He Meiwei went for a vacation, and Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha, who got the news, also followed. Zhang Duopan had been pursuing He Meiwei, and even if Bai Weidua and He Meiwei went out for a vacation, he also followed. His purpose was to prevent Bai Weidua and He Meiwei from taking a step further. Because everyone was classmates, Zhang Duopan pretended to meet them at the airport, and he proposed to travel with Bai Weidua. In fact, he just found someone to check the airline records, and he knew that Bai Weidua and He Meiwei were on the same flight. Although Bai Weidua was unwilling, even if he was unwilling, they were on the same flight, and he couldn't chase them away. What's more, they were all classmates outside, so he couldn't go overboard. After all, Zhang Duopan said it in a dignified manner, and everyone met by chance, so they should travel together, and they could take care of each other. You should rely on your classmates when you're out. In front of her classmates, He Meiwei didn't agree to share a room with Bai Weidua, which made Bai Weidua somewhat disappointed. Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha also stayed in the same hotel. Therefore, the 4 people traveled together every day, and it was quite harmonious, and there were no fights. Zhang Duopan probably saw it clearly, and what he had to do at this time was to prevent Bai Weidua and He Meiwei from taking a step further, and he had to improve his image and competitiveness in He Meiwei's eyes. Chapter 30:449. In Southeast Asia, there were many formal and luxurious casinos, so Bai Weidua and He Meiwei didn't refuse. After all, it was a worthwhile trip. Originally, Bai Weidua didn't want to go, but he couldn't resist the constant persuasion of the two. If he didn't go, Bai Weidua couldn't do anything. He couldn't even do anything private with He Meiwei. These two were stuck in their room like gummies. Anyway, they would bring them here and there every day. They would eat supper and play cards until late at night. They didn't give Bai Weidua any chance. In fact, Bai Weidua also understood their intentions and thoughts, but they didn't say it clearly. They had a tacit understanding, and Bai Weidua couldn't say anything about this kind of thing. Since they followed, This situation was inevitable. Therefore, Bai Weiduo agreed to go to the casino to take a look. Anyway, the benefit was that the expenses were borne by Zhang Duopan. Bai Weiduo was a poor student, and Boss Bai wouldn't give him much pocket money. Therefore, Bai Weiduo was happy to see Zhang Duopan spending the money. Yumiao Casino was a relatively large casino nearby. It was opened in the past 10 years, so the decoration was quite luxurious. The four took a taxi from the hotel to Yumiao Casino. However, the clothes of the four guests looked like tourists, so the waiters quickly received them. The four of you are here for a tour. Are you here to play or to satisfy your craving? If you want to satisfy your craving, I suggest you play with the corner machines on the first floor. The waiter introduced enthusiastically. And we are here for a tour. However, we don't lack money. Give me more chips, said Zhang Duopan. Okay, no problem, but please show your identification, such as your passport or your local ID card. I want to register your age. According to the regulations, we will be punished if we enter the casino as minors, said the waiter. Oh, so troublesome. Zhang Duopan took out his student ID card. Fortunately, his student ID card was always in his wallet. His passport was in the hotel. Then he said, "The four of us are all classmates. Is it fine to check one?" "That's fine too." The waiter nodded. As long as these people were really adults, there wouldn't be a problem. In fact, there were people checking every day. It was just in case. Then, give us chips. Zhang Duopan took out a credit card. Yes, sir, the waiter said. The four of them took the exchanged chips and went into play. On the other side, a man in the monitoring room looked at the synchronized registration information on the computer. His eyes suddenly lit up, and then he quickly picked up the phone and dialed a number. "To phone, what's the matter?" A vigorous and forceful voice rang out. "Hello, Faction Master Kun. I've followed your instructions and kept an eye on the guests from East Ocean City. There are 4 guests today, and one of them is from East Ocean City." Tu Feng was the person in charge of this casino and the backbone of Right Seedling Sect. The Right Meow Sect was a very large local gang, and the Right Meow Casino was naturally the Right Meow Sect's business. The sect leader was called Kun Siyuan. In his early years, he was the subordinate of a high priest in the Miaozhong region. He learned some goose spells and evil mental cultivation methods. After the high priest fell from power, he escaped to Southeast Asia and founded the Right Meow Sect. However, one of his disciples, Park Huiti, had gone to East Ocean City to train, and there was no news of him after that. After waiting for a long time, Kun Siyuan didn't return. Subconsciously, Kun Siyuan felt that something must have happened. However, the high priest was killed by the people from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, and the bureau still had Kun Siyuan's arrest warrant. Therefore, Kun Siyuan didn't dare to return to Huaxia in private, afraid that the bureau would deal with him. But there was no such thing as an airtight wall in this world. Plus, it wasn't like no one knew that Lin Yi had killed Pu Huiti, at least in the casino. In the end, the news still reached Kun Siyuan's ears. Moreover, he already knew that the person who killed Park Huiti was Lin Yi, a student of East Ocean Industry University. Therefore, he asked his people to keep an eye on the guests from East Ocean City, especially the students of East Ocean Industry University. If they saw them, they would immediately capture them and find out more about the situation. If they were acquaintances with Lin Yi, they could lure Lin Yi to Southeast Asia and kill Lin Yi in one fell swoop. Oh, really? Then, are they in contact with East Ocean Industry University? Kun Siyuan asked immediately. What a coincidence. That guy named Zhang Duopan is a first-year student of East Ocean Industry University. Maybe he knows the guy named Lin Yi.
Tu Feng said.
Okay, go and find out. If they know Lin Yi, capture them immediately. Kun Siyuan ordered. Yes. Tu Feng replied immediately. After hanging up the phone, Tu Feng went straight downstairs. At this time, the waiters and waitresses saw him and greeted him. However, Tu Feng waved his hand and signaled them to be quiet. He followed the surveillance cameras and easily found Zhang Duopan and the other 3 people. Bet on 32. This 32 will definitely win. Tu Feng said to Zhang Duopan, who was playing roulette.
Really?
Zhang Duopan was stunned when he heard someone talking to him. Of course, I play here often. Tu Feng smiled. I think you guys are also from Huaxia, right? Me too, hee hee. Really? I see. Then I'll listen to you this time. Although Zhang Duopan bet 32, he was just playing for fun and didn't know anything about probability. Since someone said so, he would just give them face. Otherwise, he would just bet randomly. However, what Zhang Duopan did not expect was that the final number on the roulette wheel was actually 32. Haha, what do you think? Am I right? Tu Feng smiled lightly. Yes. Zhang Duopan was overjoyed. Brother, are you the god of gamblers? Why don't you tell me what I should bet on to win the next round? Let me calculate this round. Tu Feng pretended to be mysterious and pondered for a while. Then he said, 27 lines. Okay, I'll listen to you. 27. Zhang Duopan bet 27, but this time, he put in more chips. These things were child's play to Tu Feng. He could make his subordinates in the monitoring room change the data with just a few words. So, whatever he said was the law. The reason why he was so patient with Zhang Duopan was that he didn't want to catch anyone in the casino. Chapter 3450. 27. 27. 27. Zhang Duopan didn't expect it to be 27 again, which meant that he won again. He looked at Tu Feng with surprise and said, Big brother, you're really good. Aren't you invincible in this casino? I'll tell you a secret. I'm actually a consultant in the casino, which is what you call a high-level dealer. I can't gamble. Tu Feng laughed softly. I saw that you're from the same country, so I talked to you a little more. I see. Big brother, aren't you very good? Consultants are usually the best gamblers in the casino. Zhang Duopan had seen a few movies about casinos, so he naturally knew what a consultant was. It's all right. By the way, where are you from? Tu Feng pretended to be nonchalant and asked. I'm currently studying in Donghai City. Donghai City, have you heard of it? It's a capital city in the north, Zhang Duopan said. Of course I've heard of it. I have a friend there, Tu Feng said. Friend? Really? What a coincidence. Big brother, what's your friend's name? I might even know him. Zhang Duopan purposely tried to get close to Tu Feng. His purpose was to get some pointers from Tu Feng so that he could enjoy being the god of gamblers. His name is Lin Yi. He's very good at kung fu. Have you heard of him? Tu Feng said casually.
What? Lin Yi?
Zhang Duopan's eyes widened. However, he thought that it might be the same name, so he asked, What does this Lin Yi do? I know someone, but I'm not sure if it's the same person. The Lin Yi I know is a first-year student at Donghai Industry University, Tu Feng said. Oh yeah, brother, which school are you studying at? Have you heard of it? Donghai Industry University. A first-year student? Zhang Duopan was now completely convinced that this Lin Yi was the Lin Yi he knew. He was surprised and happy. Big brother, I'm studying at the school. I know the Lin Yi you're talking about. He's my classmate, and we're quite close. Do you see that person over there? Bai Weitua is Lin Yi's little brother. They're roommates.
Oh.
Tu Feng's eyes flashed with a hint of joy. It really didn't take any effort at all. Previously, he was still worried that if an ordinary student was kidnapped here, would Lin Yi be forced to come here? Now that this was Lin Yi's dormitory underling, Lin Yi had no choice but to come. Thinking of this, Tu Feng said, That's really fate. Why don't you all come to my office and have a seat? I have to entertain the friends of my friends. I'll treat you all to a meal and then show you the VIP casino upstairs. It will definitely be an eye-opener for you. That's great. I'll have to trouble you, big brother. I'll go call them. Zhang Duopan was overjoyed. This was like a pie falling from the sky. He originally hated Lin Yi, but now that he could use Lin Yi's name to eat, drink, and receive VIP treatment, he was naturally happy not to say anything. Okay, I'll wait for you here. Tu Feng nodded. Therefore, Zhang Duopan quickly walked towards Bai Weitua. Bai Weitua wasn't a gambler. He was just here to see the fun. If he really wanted to gamble, he would just try it out. He didn't play much. There were still a lot of chips left in his hand. When he saw Zhang Duopan walking over, he nodded. How is it? Did you win? Haha, I won a small amount, but I got to know a master. Zhang Duopan said proudly. He's the consultant of this casino. He's also the highest level dealer. Guess what? He's actually from our side, and he's good friends with Lin Yi. We got to know each other after chatting. He invited us to his office to eat, and then show us the VIP room upstairs.
Ah,
There's such a good thing? Bai Weitua subconsciously thought that it was a scam. Could it be a trap to make them lose money? I don't doubt it. He asked me where I was from, and I said I went to Donghai. He took the initiative to ask me if I knew Lin Yi. I didn't say it at all. Zhang Duopan saw Bai Weidua's hesitation, so he waved his hand and said, Do you think he's a godly mathematician? How could he know Lin Yi? Don't worry, there's definitely no problem. Is that so? Bai Weitua listened to Zhang Duopan's explanation, and he was relieved. It wasn't a trap, but they really knew each other. That was great. Bai Weitua also knew that Lin Yi had a wide range of connections. It wasn't surprising that he knew someone here. So, he turned his head and looked at He Meiyue. Let's go take a look then. Hearing about Lin Yi, He Meiyue's heart moved, and she nodded in agreement. Since He Meiyue agreed, Bai Weitua didn't have any reason to refuse. So, he followed Zhang Duopan to the casino. At this time, Tu Feng arranged things again, and the waiter beside him also began to greet him. Consultant 2, then I'll go first. A man in a dealer costume greeted Zhang Duopan and the others after they came over. You go first. It doesn't matter that I won some money from a small fight. Our casino is open for business, and it's important to be honest. I can't come out and find trouble with others just because they won some money. This is not in line with the rules. Tu Feng waved his hand and said, Big brother, are you busy? Zhang Duopan walked over and asked. Seeing Zhang Duopan and Bai Weitua coming over, Tu Feng smiled and explained, It's nothing. A new dealer saw a customer winning millions, so he came to find me. In fact, it's not a big deal. Let's go. I'll bring you upstairs. With the previous dealer's conversation, Bai Weitua no longer had any doubts. In fact, Tu Feng was really from this casino, but he wasn't a senior consultant. He was just the person in charge. However, it was impossible for a person in charge of a casino to come to the first floor for no reason. It wasn't realistic, so he installed the title of a consultant for himself. Fan Ganha was nearby, and he was caught by Zhang Duopan. They introduced themselves and followed Tu Feng upstairs. Along the way, there were many people who respectfully called Mr. Tuesday. The four of them followed Tu Feng into a high-class, luxurious office. The four of them no longer had any doubts. However, when they entered the office and Tu Feng closed the door, he was suddenly restrained by four black-shirt men in the room. His hands and feet were tied and thrown on the sofa. Chapter 30, 451. Bai Weitua took a deep breath. He'd felt that there was a problem before, but Zhang Duopan said that Tu Feng was the one who brought up Lin Yi, and later things proved that this Tu Feng really was the casino's high-level consultant. But now, it seemed that he'd made a mistake. In other words, this person was from the casino, but his purpose was not pure. I'm just a few poor students. I don't have much money. It's useless even if you kidnap us. Fan Ganha shouted, There are so many big bosses here. Why didn't you kidnap them? Why did you kidnap us? Shut up. Tu Feng glared at Fan Ganha coldly and said, If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for knowing Lin Yi. I have a grudge against Lin Yi. In order to attract him here, I can only use you as bait. Tu Feng didn't need to hide it. Anyway, he had already captured them. What was the point of hiding?
ah,
Zhang Duopan was stunned. He didn't expect this to be the reason. It turned out that Tu Feng and Lin Yi weren't friends, but enemies. If he had known this earlier, he wouldn't have been so stupid to get close to Tu Feng. He would have quickly drawn a clear line between them. Tu Feng wanted to take revenge on Lin Yi and implicated him. Brother, I lied to you just now. In fact, Lin Yi and I are enemies. If you capture me, Lin Yi will be even happier. He won't come here at all. Zhang Duopan said quickly. Didn't you say that he is Lin Yi's little brother and that he shares the same dorm with Lin Yi? Why are you two enemies now? Tu Feng sneered. He is indeed Lin Yi's little brother and we share the same dorm. But I'm not. My relationship with Lin Yi is very bad. I hate him to death. Zhang Duopan said. Do you think I'll believe you? You and Lin Yi are sworn enemies, and he's Lin Yi's underling. Who do you think you're trying to fool? Tu Feng looked at Zhang Duopan mockingly. Like this, I'll be honest. Bai Weitua and I, who is Lin Yi's underling, are both pursuing a girl. That's why we came out together. There's no other relationship. We are actually rivals in love. Zhang Duopan said. Oh, so what? Tu Feng asked. Big brother, you can let me go. You just need to detain that Bai Weitua. He's the most important. If you detain him, Lin Yi will definitely come. I'm not lying. Zhang Duopan quickly said. And then let you go? Tu Feng asked. That's right. Zhang Duo nodded. Then you'll call the police, and we'll all be doomed, right? Tu Feng said indifferently. How is that possible? How can I call the police? I can't wait for Bai Weitua to die. Zhang Duopan said. Don't you like this girl? She's also detained. Can you not call the police to save her? Don't you know how to be a hero and save the beauty? Tu Feng asked. Why don't you let her go too? Just detain Bai Weitua. Zhang Duopan said. I see that she treats Bai Weitua better than you. If I'm not wrong, she and Bai Weitua are now in a relationship, right? If I let her go, will she not save Bai Weitua? Tu Feng sneered. All right, don't do such useless things. Just stay here. I won't do anything to you. Our boss's target is Lin Yi. After that, Tu Feng said to the 4 macho men, lock them in the room. Give them food regularly. Don't worry about them at other times. Yes, Mr. Tu. The 4 macho men quickly responded. Then, each of them grabbed one person and threw Bai Weitua and the other into the room of the office.
Bang.
The door was locked. Damn, Bai Weitua, it's all because of your boss. Otherwise, how could we be arrested? Zhang Duopan complained in frustration. You're still scolding me? If you didn't show off and say that boss Lin Yi is your friend, would it be like this? Bai Weitua said angrily. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself. Don't talk about others. All right, stop arguing. The most important thing is not to quarrel, but what should we do? He Mei frowned and said, I don't know. Can Lin Yi come to save us? Boss Lin Yi should be able to come, but these people are obviously prepared. I don't know if there will be any danger. Bai Weitua smiled bitterly and said, We really know how to cause trouble. We just came out of play and caused such a big trouble. There's no other way. We can only wait. He Mei persuaded. But Lin Yi is so powerful. There should be no problem. I hope so. Bai Weitua sighed. Listening to the conversation between the two, Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganhe were relieved. Fortunately, Bai Weitua was here. Lin Yi would definitely come. When Lin Yi came, they would be useless. He would definitely let them go, but they would be locked up for a while. After Tu Feng left, he went to report to Sect Master Kun Siyuan. He told Sect Master Kun that these people were Lin Yi's classmates. Sect Master Kun was very excited and immediately dialed Lin Yi's phone number. Lin Yi's phone number wasn't a secret. He had already inquired about it, but he didn't call it. There was no reason. If he rashly said that he wanted to find trouble and ask Lin Yi to come to Southeast Asia, then Lin Yi couldn't come either. Lin Yi didn't have any problems. If you want to find trouble, do it yourself. Why ask someone to come to your door? How sick are you? Is this Lin Yi? After the phone was dialed, Kun Siyuan said, That's me. You are? Looking at the unfamiliar number and listening to the unfamiliar voice, Lin Yi didn't know who the other party was. Let me introduce myself. I'm Southeast Asia's Right Meow Sect Master. My name is Kun Siyuan. Kun Siyuan laughed and said, "Do you know Pu Huati? I wonder if you still remember him?" Pu Huati? Lin Yi frowned slightly, and his heart skipped a beat. Of course, Lin Yi had an impression of this person. Back then, he was the one who colluded with the hidden Zhao family to trick Qin Shi. He wanted to harm Qin Shi, but Lin Yi killed him. And the owner of this phone, what was he going to do? Lin Yi said calmly, "So what if I do?"
So what if I don't?
Pu Huati is a disciple of my right Miao sect. You killed him. Don't you think I, as the sect master, should get back at him? Kun Siyuan said lightly, "Come to Southeast Asia now. I'll wait for you here. You want me to go? I don't have time." Lin Yi thought to himself that this person must have a problem. If he wants me to go, I'll go. I still have things to do. If you want to find trouble, do it yourself. If I'm not home, you can wait at my door. Chapter 3452. First update. Asking for votes. Recommending Fishman's new book, Ultimate Young Master Cultivator. I'm afraid they won't be able to return anytime soon. Come and pick them up when you have time. Kun Siyuan said, and was about to hang up. Okay, I won't bother you anymore. Goodbye, Mr. Lin Yi.
Wait.
What classmate? Lin Yi heard Kun Siyuan's words and immediately thought of Bai Weitua. He quickly asked, "Speak clearly. Aren't your classmates here on vacation? I think they're called Zhang Duopan and Bai Weitua. If you're not coming to pick them up, let them play here first. They won't starve to death anyway," Kun Siyuan said. "Tell me the address and I'll come to you." Lin Yi took a deep breath. "But before I get there, you have to ensure their safety." "That's no problem. Our sect has its own rules. We won't involve ordinary people. You're a cultivator. We're looking for you." Kun Siyuan said faintly, "I'll send my address to your phone later. Come as soon as possible." "Okay." Lin Yi nodded and agreed. "Then I'll wait for Mr. Lin's arrival. Don't go back now that you're here." Ha 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 ha. Kun Siyuan laughed and hung up. Lin Yi looked at his phone and frowned. He wanted to go directly to the X Island, where he trained when he was young, and bring Little Nine to the Yellow Soil High Sect. But it seemed like plans couldn't keep up with the changes. He had to go to Southeast Asia first. With Bai Weitua in trouble, Lin Yi had to inform Boss Bai. So, he decided to return to Donghai City first and make a decision later. Since Kun Siyuan wanted to use Bai Weitua to lure him to Southeast Asia's right Miao sect, there shouldn't be any problems before he went. Lin Yi was relieved. The car drove all the way and finally stopped in front of his Donghai City mansion.
It was evening now.
Wang Xinyan should be at home. Judging from the bright lights in the living room, it should be so. Lin Yi opened the door and walked in. Wang Xinyan was indeed at home, but there were two people in the living room that surprised Lin Yi. "Boss, you're back." Gooden stood up from the sofa happily and ran over to give Lin Yi a bear hug. Yuan, who was beside him, also stood up and greeted Lin Yi shyly. Gooden, why are you two here?" Lin Yi looked at Gooden, pleasantly surprised. He didn't think that Gooden would be able to find the villa in Donghai, but it was probably old Lin who told him. "It's the autumn harvest, so there's nothing to do. I've dried some meat, and Yuan wanted to come back for a walk too, so we came over. We brought some meat for you, boss. Didn't you like my meat the most?" Gooden said. Gooden, you're really considerate." Lin Yi didn't think that Gooden would still remember this. He was touched. Although this was just a small matter in life, it showed that Gooden really cared about him. He made the meat and even brought it over personally. "It's nothing." Yuan also wanted to go out for a walk. West Star Mountain is too small. She's a girl from the city.
How could she stay there all the time?
Gooden smiled. "But speaking of which, your way of speaking has become much more standard. Last time you would say I or something. Yuan corrected you, right?" Lin Yi smiled. "Yeah, she taught me how to speak Mandarin." Gooden scratched his head honestly, but this also showed how much he cared about Yuan. "What's the arrangement between you two?" Lin Yi got a headache just thinking about it. He was planning to go to Southeast Asia immediately after coming back, but now that Gooden was here, He had to welcome him. But Bai Weidua couldn't just not save him, so Lin Yi was in a difficult position. It's nothing. Yuan just wanted to go around.
Gooden said.
I promised her that I'd bring her on a honeymoon after we get married, but I've been busy and didn't have time. Now that I finally have time, I want to see where we can go. Why don't you two come with me to Southeast Asia? Lin Yi suddenly had an idea. Southeast Asia was a good place to visit. Gooden didn't have a destination anyway, so it didn't matter where he went. Lin Yi could save Bai Weidua and welcome Gooden at the same time. It was killing two birds with one stone. That's fine. But Gooden was a little short on money. He hunted for a living, and most of his money was used to support his family. His savings were limited. Lin Yi and Gooden had known each other for so many years. How could he not know what he was thinking? He smiled. You're my guest. How could I let you spend money? All the expenses are on me. If you don't want to, then leave immediately. Take your meat with you. I don't want it. Haha, all right then. Gooden didn't bother being polite with Lin Yi. He knew from Lin Yi's words that Lin Yi really didn't care about stuff like that. If he didn't accept Lin Yi's kindness, then Lin Yi would really get angry. Boss, I'm really sorry for making you spend money. Yuan followed Gooden's lead and called Lin Yi. In the countryside, the eldest child of the housekeeper would also be called boss, meaning big brother. Xinyan, arrange their lodgings first. I'll go to teacher Bai's for a bit. Lin Yi said to Xinyan. Okay, go. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. Xinyan shook her head. Lin Yi didn't say anything else and went straight to Boss Bai's place. Boss Bai was a little surprised at Lin Yi's visit so late. Lily, you're back? Yeah, I just finished my business over there, so I came back to see. Lin Yi said, Master, there's something I've been thinking about and I still need to tell you.
Oh.
What is it? Come in. Boss Bai waved his hand and signaled for Lin Yi to come in. Xi, look who's here. Guan Xian walked out and was surprised to see Lin Yi. Lin Yi, you're here. Do you need me to cook? Haha, it's okay, it's too late, you don't need to cook. I'm here because I have something to talk to Master about. Lin Yi said, Go do what you need to do.
Ah,
I see. Guan Xian was a little disappointed. After all, Lin Yi wasn't here for her. She lowered her head and prepared to go back to her herbs. These days, she had been slowly learning from the herbs, and she believed that she would succeed soon. Chapter 3453. Master.
I
didn't. Guan Xian blushed. Master, this is not the time to joke. I really have something to do. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and said, Xin, don't think too much. It's Bai Weidua. Didn't he go to Southeast Asia? In the end, he was detained.
Ah.
Guan Xian was shocked. It turned out that it was not that Lin Yi didn't care about her, but there was something more important. At this moment, Guan Xian's mood was a lot better. She was not as disappointed as before. She quickly asked, What happened? How could he be detained? Although Boss Bai was not as shocked as Guan Xian, he also frowned slightly and looked at Lin Yi. Why? What did he do? The other party is from the Right Miao clan. One of their disciples caused trouble in the casino here and was killed by me. Lin Yi said, I don't know why, but Bai Weidua and the others may have been found out by them to be my friends. Maybe we are very close, so they imprisoned Bai Weidua and asked me to go over. However, I think they are targeting me. They probably won't do anything to Bai Weidua. This brat, why did he go out and talk nonsense? Doesn't he know that trouble comes from a loose tongue? If he didn't say it, who would know that you two are related? Boss Bai couldn't help but be angry after hearing it. When this brat comes back, I will teach him a lesson. He caused trouble at the critical moment. Lin Yi didn't expect Boss Bai to be not worried but angry after hearing it. He couldn't help but smile bitterly and said, It's not his fault. It's my fault for offending the Right Miao clan. You can't blame anyone for this. I have an impression of the Right Miao clan disciple you mentioned. You mentioned him to me before, right?
His name is Pu Huati, or something.
Boss Bai waved his hand and said, Even if it was me, I would have killed him if I had the ability to. What does this have to do with you? I'm just angry that Bai Weidua can't help me at all. All he knows is to go out and cause trouble. Master, don't talk about Bai Weidua. He has a girlfriend. It's impossible for him to go out and play. He's a young man. Lin Yi quickly explained. Aren't you also a young man? Why don't you go and play? Boss Bai snorted. I'm not optimistic about Himewa either. She's too narrow-minded, and Bai Weidua is too honest. I'm afraid that they will suffer losses in the future. Lin Yi didn't expect that Boss Bai also found that Himewa was a bit cunning, but he couldn't say anything about this kind of thing, so he could only say, forget it. Bai Weidua is not young anymore. He has his own choice, and he knows it's right and wrong. That's why I didn't interfere. I hope that girl will put her mind to the right place. Boss Bai waved his hand and said, By the way, you know about the Heaven Stage trial, right? Ancestor Xianchen called earlier and told me about this. I wanted to let you go, but he specifically asked for an inheritor, Guan Xian. Plus, there's only one spot for each sect, and we're not even a sect yet. The only reason we're letting Guan Xian go is because she's an inheritor. So you're in a lot of trouble. If you don't participate in the trials, you won't even have the chance to go to the island. Oh, that's it. Lin Yi hurriedly said, Master, you don't have to worry about it. Even if we don't have a spot, there are other ways to go. I have the incomplete map of the Heaven Stage Island.
Oh, so you have that thing.
Boss Bai was enlightened, and after hearing Lin Yi's words, he was relieved. If Lin Yi had the incomplete map of the Heaven Stage Island, then in theory, he could participate in the trials of the Heaven Stage. According to the original agreement, if the incomplete map was obtained by a rogue cultivator, then he could participate in the trials of the Heaven Stage unconditionally. If it was obtained by a disciple of a sect or a family, as long as the family didn't object, or didn't send another disciple to replace him, then that person could also participate in the trials of the Heaven Stage smoothly. Now, even if Lin Yi wasn't a rogue cultivator, he was still Boss Bai's disciple. As long as Boss Bai didn't object, Lin Yi could still participate in the trials of the Heaven Stage. I got it a long time ago, but I didn't know what to use it for. I didn't expect it to come in handy now. Lin Yi nodded and said, Then let's do this for now. It's getting late, I'm going back. Early tomorrow morning, I'm going to Southeast Asia to rescue Bai Weidua. Be careful, I've heard of the Right Miao clan. It seems to be a remnant of the Miaojiang. I don't know how strong he is now, but he shouldn't be underestimated. Boss Bai reminded, Don't underestimate him. Although Bai Weidua is my grandson, you're also my disciple. In my heart, the identity of a disciple is the same as that of a grandson. I don't want one to get hurt or die because of the other. If you can't do it, don't force yourself. This is a disaster that he caused, so he should bear it himself. Who asked him to go out and talk so much? I understand. Don't worry, I don't care about a mere Right Miao clan. Although Lin Yi said it casually, his heart was still beating like a drum. That was because the Right Miao clan was obviously different from normal cultivation sections. It was a sect that started with evil arts. What they were good at was different from normal cultivation. Lin Yi didn't know if he had the advantage to win. Guan Xian saw that Lin Yi was about to leave, and she suddenly became anxious. She stomped her feet and said to Lin Yi, Can you come here for a while? I have something to talk to you about. Oh? Lin Yi was slightly stunned, and then he nodded and said, Of course, no problem. Boss Bai was also a little curious about what Guan Xian wanted to say to Lin Yi, but he wasn't that nosy. He stood up and said, You guys talk, I'm going to wash up and rest. With that, Boss Bai left the living room and went to the bathroom. Lin Yi, do you like me? Guan Xian suddenly opened her mouth and looked straight at Lin Yi. This time, she was bolder than anyone else, unlike her usual shyness. Lin Yi was stunned by Guan Xian's sudden question. Why would the usually reserved Guan Xian suddenly ask this? However, although Lin Yi was a little confused, he still nodded and said, I like it. Chapter 3454. One update every weekend, 2 updates every Monday. Please vote. It was as if Guan Xian was talking to herself as she recounted everything that had happened between her and Lin Yi in detail. There were some details that he'd forgotten, but Guan Xian still remembered them so vividly. If Guan Xian didn't say it out loud, Lin Yi wouldn't have known that he was so important in her heart. Lin Yi listened to Guan Xian's heartfelt outburst. He liked Guan Xian, but it was just a normal kind of liking. It wasn't to the point where he loved Guan Xian, to the point where he loved her to death. Guan Xian's sudden confession made Lin Yi feel like he couldn't accept it. Should he accept it or not? But now it seemed like he couldn't reject it. Lin Yi had always been passive in his relationships. His relationships with girls were more like a natural process. Facing Guan Xian now, Lin Yi couldn't say that he didn't like her, but it was still a bit far from being her boyfriend. Master told me that I'm going to become an inheritor of the wood element and open the island. It's a dangerous mission, and I'm afraid that I won't be able to see you again, so I have to tell you this today. Guan Xian let out a long sigh of relief as she finished her story. Guan Xian was the inheritor of the wood element? Lin Yi had heard Boss Bai reveal a bit about it before, but he didn't say it for sure. But today, both of them confirmed it, so it must be true. He really didn't think that the inheritor of the wood element was Guan Xian. Didn't this mean that other than Elder Tang of the Snowy Valley, all the other inheritors were related to him? This gave Lin Yi a headache. Was this a coincidence? Or was this the will of the heavens? Or could it be said that coming to Songshan City was a trap set up by someone with ulterior motives? Lin Yi wasn't sure. The mission that could feed him for the rest of his life allowed Lin Yi to walk step by step to where he was now. Was old Lin in the know? Lin Yi didn't know, and no one told him. The only thing he knew was that he had to keep going. Regardless of whether it was a trap or not, he could not stop moving forward. The Sky-class island plan. Actually, Xian, you should know that the people beside me, Mengyao, Yushu, and Xiao, as well as Yu Ning and Little Nine, who you don't know. They're all inheritors, so I have to follow them all the way. Otherwise, I don't know what will happen, and I won't be at ease. Since you're also an inheritor, then let's go together. Lin Yi comforted with a smile. These inheritors. You know all of them? Guan Xian's expression changed. Naturally, she knew that Xiao and Tang Yun were inheritors, but she didn't know that Mengyao and Yushu were inheritors too. Moreover, Yu Ning and Little Nine Lin Yi also knew each other. What was their relationship? They should be very close, right? This way, they were all inheritors, and they were all connected to Lin Yi. Guan Xian let out a breath of relief. She would not become a little lonely just because she was a special case. But Lin Yi probably didn't know about Tang Yun yet. He'd probably be even more shocked if he did. All the inheritors were connected to him. This was too much of a coincidence. Yeah, other than Xuegu's inheritor, I'm not really familiar with them. Of course, it's not our relationship. The other inheritors more or less. You know, Lin Yi said awkwardly. Xuegu. Wasn't it Tang Yun? Guan Xian couldn't help but chuckle. She's your first girlfriend. A real girlfriend. Okay, then I don't have to worry. Guan Xian nodded. There's one more thing I didn't want to say, but you gave me hope for the Sky-class island plan. Maybe I can really come back alive, so I have to say it now. What is it? Lin Yi paused. He couldn't think of anything that Guan Xian cared so much about. It didn't seem to have anything to do with training or inheritors. It's like this. My dad arranged a marriage for me when I was young, and there wasn't any news about it. But suddenly, he told me that there was news, and he told me to prepare to meet the fiancé. Guan Xian said, troubled. I've never met him, and I don't like him. It's fine if I don't know you, but now the person I like is you, and my dad wants me to meet him. What should I do? Sweat. Lin Yi didn't think that Guan Xian's father would be so serious about the marriage. He thought that it was something out of the question, and now he brought it up again. But this was their family business, and House Guan didn't want anything. They wouldn't fight for the position and ranking of the hidden houses. They wouldn't change Guan Xian and Lin Yi just for benefits. This was completely different from the hidden House Yu. If House Guan was the same as House Yu, then Lin Yi was confident that he could handle this, but it was different. Guan Xiaoxiang's goal was different from the hidden House Yu, and with his relationship with Guan Xiumin, Lin Yi couldn't force Guan Xiaoxiang. This was indeed a headache, but Lin Yi thought about it and said, "Right? Aren't you the best at making horrible food and scaring your future blind date away?
You can try it this time."
Lin Yi had fallen into this trap a couple of times, and he thought of this plan in no time. "I've thought about it, but my dad said that we'll meet at a restaurant, and he wouldn't give me a chance to show off my cooking." Guan Xian sighed helplessly. "My dad was probably afraid that I'd do this, so he purposely set the meeting place at a restaurant." Lin Yi thought about it and realized that it was true. He'd used this trick many times, and Guan Xiaoxiang would naturally notice it. This time, he wouldn't be able to use it, but Lin Yi was the one suffering. "It seems like I'm the unlucky one." Lin Yi thought about it and said, "Who is this person? I heard that he's the heir of the person who helped my dad before, but I don't know who he is, and I've never seen him before. I don't even know his name." Guan Xian said, "If I know his hobbies and interests, I'll do something different, and he won't like me anymore, but I don't know what he's like, so it's hard to act according to the situation. Why don't you prepare according to common sense, like what kind of girl a guy doesn't like, and you dress in that direction?" Lin Yi thought about it and suggested, for example, dress up like a slut, and then talk about one-night stands every time you open your mouth, or say that you're pregnant. Chapter 34:55. She opened her eyes wide, her face blushing as she stared at Lin Yi. I can't say that out loud. If you don't describe yourself like that, you won't be able to cancel the engagement." Lin Yi said, "I don't know about other things, but normal men wouldn't be able to accept being cuckolded and being a father. If you do this, no matter what her interests are, you'll be out. From their perspective, it's okay to play with this kind of woman, but if they really marry her, they'll be out." Well, will it really work? Guan Xian thought about it, and it was true. It was just that she had to dress up like a slut and say shameless things like that. It was a bit difficult for her. "Yes, Shenzhou, I think it'll work." Lin Yi nodded. "Then, let me think." Guan Xian felt that it was doable, but it was a bit hard to do. "And if there's anything you need help with, just tell me.
I'll do my best to help."
Lin Yi said, "If they ask me who the child is, I'll say it's yours?" Guan Xian thought about it. Sure. Lin Yi nodded. And then, if Guan Xian said the child was Lin Yi's, she wouldn't feel any pressure at all. To her, it was just a matter of time, and it wasn't a big deal if she said it earlier. "It's getting late, I'll go back first. I still have to go to Southeast Asia tomorrow. If your father forces you to meet him, you better delay it until I come back. I can help you with the plan," Lin Yi said. And okay? Guan Xian nodded happily. Lin Yi said goodbye to Boss Bai's house and returned to his villa. Gooden and Yuan had already gone to the guest room to rest, and Lin Yi smiled when he saw Xinyan on the bed. It seemed that Wang Xinyan had been staying in her room all this time. Lin Yi didn't dare rely on Wang Xinyan to train right now, but being with her every day was still an enjoyable experience. If he could raise Wang Xinyan's strength to become a cultivator, there wouldn't be so many hidden dangers. He didn't know if Aunt Qing could find the mantra. Lin Yi laid down beside Xinyan, starting to train quietly. However, good times were always short-lived. In the blink of an eye, the sky was bright and a new day had arrived. Lin Yi got up and went to the kitchen to cook. He had developed the habit of waking up early to cook. However, when Lin Yi came to the kitchen, he was surprised to find that Yuan got up earlier than him. Yuan, you're the guest. Why don't you sleep a little longer? Just leave breakfast to me," Lin Yi said. "I'm used to it at home. Every day when I wake up at this time, Zhou Jiaming will go hunting in the mountains." Yuan smiled and said, "It's okay. Leave it to me." "All right then." Lin Yi didn't force it. He knew that Yuan wanted to do her part, and he couldn't reject her anymore. Yuan's cooking skills were not bad. She wasn't as good as Lin Yi, but it was still not bad. It seemed like Gooden was quite lucky. After the meal, Linny said goodbye to Xinyan and went to Donghai Airport with Gooden and Yuan. Lin Yi had already asked Han Xiaopa to book the plane tickets. The flight was silent, and Lin Yi slept on the plane. Gooden and Yuan, on the other hand, were very excited. It was their first time on a plane, and they were very excited as they looked at the clouds outside the window. After arriving in Southeast Asia, Lin Yi didn't hide his whereabouts. He checked into a hotel called Yumiao Hotel. In the hotel lobby, Lin Yi called Kun Siyuan. Lin Yi, you're here?
Kun Siyuan asked.
Yes, I'm in the lobby of this Yumiao Hotel. Help me get 2 rooms, I don't have money. Lin Yi said. Kun Siyuan was speechless, but in order to find Lin Yi at any time, he didn't care about the money. He said to Lin Yi, give the phone to their manager, I'll talk to them. Lin Yi nodded and said to the manager, answer the phone. The manager was a bit confused, but he still picked up the phone. When he heard the voice, his face changed, and he nodded. After he finished the call, he said respectfully to Lin Yi, Mr. Lin, the room card is ready, this way please. Although Lin Yi was an enemy, Kun Siyuan still had to treat him well before he went to kill Lin Yi. This was to prevent Lin Yi from running away. Anyway, in his eyes, Lin Yi was already a dead man. Those criminals still had to eat a full meal before they were executed, so Kun Siyuan wanted Lin Yi to be more comfortable before he died. After hanging up the phone, Kun Siyuan looked for Pu Huatiai's master, the current deputy sect leader of Right Miao sect, Pu Nime. Pu Nime was a bit of a patriarchal person. He required his sect and disciples to have the same surname as him, but he was also very protective. Now that Pu Huati was killed, he wanted revenge the most. Deputy sect leader Pu, Lin Yi is here. We can prepare to take action. Kun Siyuan said to Pu Nime.
Good.
With you and me working together, Lin Yi will definitely die. Pu Nime said, I'm good at demonic arts, and I've already mastered it. Sect leader, you're good at attacking. We'll attack and defend, just like the Vajra dual evils of the past, invincible. That's right, this Lin Yi is very powerful. To be able to kill Pu Huati, he's not a good person. You and I have to be careful. After we get there, you try your best to hold back Lin Yi and let him attack you. You just have to defend, and I'm good at attacking, I'll sneak attack Lin Yi. Kun Siyuan began to assign tactics. Although this demonic art was learned by Kun Siyuan from the Miao tribe's high priest, he did not cultivate it to mastery. Instead, he let his deputy sect leader cultivate it. He also cultivated an attack technique. Although it could not be said to be very powerful, it was a modified version of the Miao village's goo poison called Divine Strength Goo. Therefore, his attack power was also quite strong. Then, when are we going to take action? Pu Nime could not bear it anymore. He did not want to wait even a moment longer. He only wanted revenge. To avenge Pu Huati. Tonight, Lin Yi is now staying at our Young Sprout Hotel. He can't run away. Kun Siyuan said, then told Pu Nime about Lin Yi's free stay. This Lin Yi is really funny. He's about to die, yet he still wants to save this little money. Chapter 3456. There will be 2 updates today. The second one will be later, so please come back tomorrow morning. The fishman had to go out for a while before he could continue writing. Asking for votes. Happy Dragon Boat Festival. Not bad. Kun Siyuan thought. If Pu Huati wasn't Pu Nime's disciple and was just a normal disciple, then if Lin Yi could really take out enough conditions, it wouldn't be impossible. After settling Yuan and Gooden down, Lin Yi called Gooden to his room alone. He wanted to tell him about Kun Siyuan, but Yuan didn't want to be part of it. It was better not to tell her about the battles of the cultivation world. Boss, what's up? Gooden asked after entering the room. He could vaguely feel that Lin Yi had something to do in Southeast Asia, but Lin Yi didn't say anything, so he didn't ask. And it's like this. My classmate was captured by the Right Miao sect. Lin Yi said and told him about Bai Weidua, as well as his conflict with Pu Huati. Lin Yi, boss, What's the difference between this Pu Huati and Fighterly? If it was me, I'd kill him with one punch too. Gooden was infuriated that Fighterly had tried to take Yuan by force, and Gooden was furious. At night, he might come to me. Don't be impulsive then. Find a chance and use underhanded methods, understand? With your current stamina, you can only use it 3 times, so don't act rashly. Save as much as you can, understand? Lin Yi told Gooden. Don't worry, boss, I understand. Gooden nodded. I won't do anything rashly. I still want to play with Yuan. If I get sick, I'll have to go back directly. Lin Yi nodded and started talking about other things. Yuan knew that Gooden finally got to see Lin Yi, so he must have something to say, so she went to bed first. Nightfall. Just as Lin Yi had predicted, Kun Siyuan brought Pu Nime to the Seedling Hotel. With Pu Nime's impatient character, she could not wait any longer. They're here. Lin Yi's face twitched as he said to Gooden. Lin Yi's strong mental perception allowed him to sense Kun Siyuan and Pu Nime's approach. Although he could not be sure that one of them was Kun Siyuan, Lin Yi could clearly sense that they were not friendly. Boss, I'm ready. Isn't it just a sneak attack? Gooden had learned to be more cunning recently. He had no choice, he was always bullied by Yuan, so he had to learn to be smarter. Lin Yi nodded and sat quietly on the sofa, waiting. Sure enough, not long after, there was a hurried knock on the door. You should have room cards for your own hotels, right? Open the door yourself, I'm quite tired, Lin Yi said indifferently.
And?
Kun Siyuan was stunned. He did not expect Lin Yi to say that. He knocked on the door out of politeness. He did not expect Lin Yi to be so shameless even though he was about to die. He was furious and really wanted to kick the door to pieces. But after thinking about it, this hotel was his. He would have to pay to repair it if he broke it. Kun Siyuan could only endure it. However, when he and Pu Nime went upstairs, they did not consider this problem at all. They did not have room cards. He was the leader of the right seedling sect. He could not possibly walk around with a room card. That was unrealistic. I did not bring my room card. Open it, Kun Siyuan said, suppressing his anger. Then do it yourself. You're a practitioner anyway. It'll be a piece of cake for you. Lin Yi said indifferently. You. Very good. Kun Siyuan took a deep breath. He knew that Lin Yi must have done it on purpose to play with him. But even if he knew, he could not do anything about it. He could only think of a way to take revenge on Lin Yi in a more ruthless manner. Pu Nime was a little anxious. She said to Kun Siyuan, Leader Kun, why don't we break in? It's just a door. Breaking in is a small matter, but this is a 5-star hotel. If other guests see us and some meddlesome guests take photos and post them on the internet, our hotel's reputation will be ruined. Kun Siyuan waved his hand and said, Forget it. Let the waiter send the key up. Pu Nime felt that Kun Siyuan was right. After all, this was the foundation of their sect's survival. Although the sect focused on cultivation, it was impossible to do without money in this era. They could not rob houses like in ancient times, right? That was not realistic at all. They could only rely on their own sect's advantages to earn money. Soon, the waiter sent the universal room card over. This was the room card used by the waiter to clean the room. Kun Siyuan opened the door and strode in. When he saw Lin Yi casually sitting on the sofa and chatting with someone, he was a little annoyed. However, he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This Lin Yi, did he really think that coming here was a holiday? Kun Siyuan heard from the front desk that Lin Yi didn't come alone, but brought a couple. It seemed that they were here to travel with friends. This guy was really brave. Who knew that he would die here? Or did he have the confidence to convince him to exchange for his life? You are Lin Yi? Kun Siyuan locked his eyes on Lin Yi because Gooden was too ordinary. He was just a village boy, simple and honest. He didn't have much of an aura. One look and you could tell that he had a silly but strong physique. Master Kun Siyuan, right? Lin Yi looked at Kun Siyuan and said faintly, I didn't think that you would have the guts to show your face. I didn't think that you would dare to invite me over. I really don't know what to say about you. What do you mean? Kun Siyuan was slightly taken aback. Let me introduce myself. My name is Lin Yi. I work for the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. Currently, the deputy director of the bureau is my girlfriend. Kun Cun, you are our wanted criminal. If you know what's good for you, come back with me. Otherwise, I will make a move to arrest you. Lin Yi said. You are from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau? Kun Cun was taken aback. He didn't think that Lin Yi's identity would be so troublesome. If he knew earlier, he wouldn't have let Lin Yi come over so hastily. After all, it wasn't a good thing to be targeted by the Supernatural Investigation Bureau again. However, things had come to this point. He couldn't back down. The only way to keep Lin Yi here was to prevent some information from being leaked. He sneered and said, "Even if you are from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, so what? You can't interfere with our Southeast Asian affairs. Deputy Master Pu, you can avenge your disciple, Pu Huiti." Lin Yi, come, let's fight. Pu Nime stood up according to the plan and said to Lin Yi, "Since you're here, it's not up to you whether you want to fight or not." Lin Yi smiled coldly and gave Gooden a look. This place is too scary. I need to get out of here quickly." Gooden shouted and ran out of the door. At this time, Punime was standing not far from the door. Kun Cun frowned slightly. If this Lin Yi really wanted to fight him, then he didn't have much chance of winning. He needed to force Lin Yi to submit. Let Lin Yi and Punime fight, and he could sneak attack from the side. Kun Cun's eyes turned and saw Gooden, who was running away not far away. He laughed and thought of a plan. "Vice Head Pu, catch that kid, don't let him get away." "Okay." Punime nodded and grabbed at Gooden. "Lin Yi, if you follow the rules and fight with Vice Head Pu, then I can let go of your friend and the student who was taken away. Otherwise, I can only offend your friend." Kun Cun threatened coldly. After all, Lin Yi was a sky-class mid-phase peak. His strength was not to be underestimated. Even if Kun Cun was a heretic, it was still unknown if he could beat Lin Yi in actual strength. If Lin Yi was not prepared, he could win with a sneak attack. But if it was a head-on fight, it would be dangerous. Don't grab me. I'm telling you, if I get angry, I'll kill you with one punch." Gooden was stopped by Punime and immediately shouted, "Get out of the way, or I won't go easy on you." "Heh, go easy." Punime laughed. "You'll kill me with one punch? Okay, then I'll stand here and let you hit me. If you can kill me, then I'll let you leave. If you can't, then just stay here." Gooden didn't have any chi waves on him. He didn't look like a practitioner at all. Even if he was a physical practitioner, Punime was still confident. The evil goo he practiced was a modified version of the diamond goo. It was quite powerful. Although it wasn't as powerful as the diamond goo of the high priest, compared to those who mastered the golden shield and iron shirt, he still had quite an advantage. He was a cockroach that couldn't be killed. That was why he was so confident. His tone was playful. In his eyes, Gooden was just a toy. He was looking for fun and also to relieve his bad mood. "Then there's no other way. I can only kill you with one punch." Gooden sighed helplessly and swung his fist with a bang. It hit Punime's chest. Punime, on the other hand, changed from his playful expression to one of shock and disbelief. But at this moment, he could no longer speak. His entire body flew backward in the direction of the door and crashed into it. That didn't stop. He continued to fly out and hit the wall of the corridor. Then, he broke through the wall and flew out. Because Lin Yi lived in a top-grade presidential suite, there were only one side of the hallway, and the other side was the wall. Otherwise, he would have smashed into someone else's room. The complete version of the Titan Goo. Kun Cun's eyes flashed with shock. He looked at Gooden, then at Lin Yi. "Who are you? How can you have the complete version of the Titan Goo? How is that possible?" "Oh, you know about the Titan Goo? You know about the complete version?" This time, it was Lin Yi's turn to be shocked. Gooden did, in fact, eat the Titan Goo's poison by mistake when he was young, turning him into what he was now. And, because of the Titan Goo's side effects, He couldn't leave West Star Village for a long time. The complete version of the Titan Goo had to go back to West Star Mountain to drink the spirit spring water every 3 times. Otherwise, his body would become extremely weak. It really is the complete version of the Titan Goo.
Who are you?
Who is your master? Kun Siyuan suddenly thought of something and said, Your surname is Lin? What's your relationship with Lin Dongfang? Chapter 3458. The first chapter. Everyone, please help support the monthly tickets for top-quality young master cultivation. Thank you. There's still a second chapter. You can still watch it tomorrow. So Lin paused and asked, My master's name is Yang Ming, and Lin Dongfang is my grandfather. Do you know them? After hearing Lin Yi's words, Kun Siyuan seemed to have lost all his strength. He knelt on the ground, and his face became extremely pale. So you're the descendant of Mr. Lin and Mr. Yang. I was really blind. I offended you. Don't kill me. I can be your subordinate. Just don't kill me. Thinking of Lin Dongfang and Yang Ming's invincibility, even after so many years, Kun Siyuan's mental defense still collapsed in an instant. He couldn't bring himself to fight against Lin Yi and Er Gooden anymore. When a person knew that his strength was far from being the opponent's opponent, then he wouldn't fight pointlessly anymore. So, Kun Siyuan chose to surrender. He had to surrender. Punime was so powerful, but she was definitely dead now. There was no need to think about it. Although the King Kong Goo was powerful, it was trash in front of the complete version of the Hercules Goo. Plus, Punime didn't cultivate the complete version of the Hercules Goo, but a modified version of the obviously weaker King Kong Goo, so you do know them. Lin Yi wasn't too surprised. His own master had been part of the investigation department back in the day, and Lin Yi wouldn't have been able to join the department so early on if it weren't for that relationship. He still had a lot of connections with them even now. As for Lin Dongfang, he lived in the Miaozhong area, so it wasn't surprising that he knew Kun Siyuan. But what's the use of keeping you? Lin Yi said lightly. I don't lack subordinates. In the entire Central Plains, many families and sects are my vassals. I have many followers, and I don't lack you. But there aren't any in Southeast Asia. Our right Miao clan can also become young hero Lin's vassals and follow your lead. I'll do whatever you want me to do. Kun Siyuan was a person who knew his place. In order to survive, he didn't care about his pride. I still don't think it's useful. You're so far away from me. I'm useless. Lin Yi shook his head. I know the big secret. I can surrender and be a spy. Kun Siyuan suddenly shouted. Oh. What do you mean? Lin Yi's interest was piqued. Big secret? What big secret does Kun Siyuan know? What could he use to surrender? As for the undercover agent he mentioned, what was that all about? What do you know? Surrender to what? Lin Yi looked at Kun Siyuan and said faintly, If I'm satisfied with what you say, I can consider letting you go. In fact, what Kun Siyuan said before was right. He was already a sect in Southeast Asia. In theory, he was not under the jurisdiction of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. If the Supernatural Investigation Bureau really wanted to destroy Right Miao clan, it was bound to offend the local sects and cultivators. Although the sects and cultivators here were not particularly strong, and were only at the level of the hidden families, it was not a good thing after all. Therefore, it was not impossible for Kun Siyuan to save his life. Lin Yi had always been a person who wanted to subdue and use him. For example, Brother Dafone, Lin Yi was very comfortable with him. If it weren't for him, it would be difficult for Lin Yi to find Pangolin. Therefore, for people like Kun Siyuan, once he was convinced, he could use him. It's like this. Back then, your master, Mr. Yang Ming, destroyed the central base. It wasn't a complete central base. Behind them, there was a boss behind the scenes. Kun Siyuan was afraid that Lin Yi would kill him directly, so he quickly said, Central? This was the second time Lin Yi heard of the name of Central. The first time was when he was in the secular songhouse. However, he didn't expect that his master had also fought with Central back then. Lin Yi was only a non-staff member in the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. There were some things that Lin Dongfang didn't say, and Lin Yi didn't know. Moreover, the things about Central back then were all top-secret files. These things were hard to access unless it was the current Song Lingshan. Yes, you should know this place, right? Back then, it was only a central base that was destroyed. The person in charge there, Dr. Benjamin, was just a puppet. As far as I know, their real leader is a person called Dr. Li. Now, Central is managed by his girlfriend, Wan Xiaoru, currently nicknamed Miss Lan. Kun Siyuan said, "What does this have to do with me?" Lin Yi paused. He didn't have any enmity with Central. He only had some conflicts back at Song House. He didn't understand why Kun Siyuan suddenly brought this up. Young hero Lin, this Central is a scourge. They specialize in making things that harm people. Your master has always been fighting with them. Aren't you interested? Kun Siyuan paused. He didn't expect Lin Yi to have such an indifferent expression.
No.
Lin Yi shook his head.
He didn't provoke me.
Instead, I was the one who killed their four masters. My friend stole their things. Come to think of it, they are the unlucky ones. What does this have to do with me? Kun Siyuan was using this as a life-saving card. He didn't expect Lin Yi to not care at all. He was completely dumbfounded. Young hero Lin, they are your master's enemies. I heard that your master has always been fighting with them. Even now, oh? Lin Yi raised an eyebrow. Even now? He looked at Kun Siyuan suspiciously. Now? Do you know where my master is now? Of course, Kun Siyuan didn't know. But I heard that when your master left, he seemed to have something to do with Central. How do you know? Lin Yi asked. Lin Yi really didn't care much about Central. However, when it came to news about his master, it was impossible for Lin Yi not to care. You should know that our right Miao men. Oh, that is, the previous right Miao men in Miaozheng. At that time, we had cooperation with Central. Now, we often have some business dealings. Once, I vaguely heard Miss Lan mention your master on the phone. That's why I said that, said Kun Siyuan. Chapter 30, 459.
Part 2.
Kun Siyuan was startled. He could kill 4 sky-class full mastery? How strong was that? He had made a mistake, not investigating Lin Yi further. From what he knew, Lin Yi was a solo practitioner with no background. How strong could a solo practitioner be? That was why Kun Siyuan didn't hesitate to capture Bai Weitua and the others to lure Lin Yi here, preparing to kill Lin Yi in one fell swoop. But now, it seemed like it was hard to say who would be the one to kill who. Thank you for sparing my life, Master Lin. Don't worry, I'll be your lackey from now onwards. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. I'll listen to you. Kun Siyuan quickly said, the only good thing about me is that a wise man submits to circumstances. I know what I'm capable of. All right, get someone to fix up your hotel. I'm going to sleep now. I don't want to see my classmates get hurt. I hope you can bring them here tomorrow morning, or you know the consequences. Lin Yi said as he looked at Kun Siyuan.
All right.
Don't worry, Master Lin, I know what to do. Kun Siyuan nodded and left the room respectfully. He was quite efficient. Not long later, some workers came to replace the door and repair the hole in the hallway. As for Punime's body, it was already taken away. Kun Siyuan came and left in a hurry. Soon, the hotel returned to its peacefulness. No one noticed that something like this had happened in the hotel. Gooden, thank you for your help this time, Lin Yi said to Gooden. If it was just me, I really wouldn't be able to do anything to that vice head Pooh. He's invulnerable. It'd be hard for me to kill him. It's nothing. Plus, I'm so happy to be able to help you, boss. Finally, there's a place for me to use my skills. Otherwise, I'd have to fight monsters in the mountains every day. It'd be so annoying, Gooden said. Haha, alright, go rest. Yuan, are you worried? Lin Yi smiled. I'll rest too. Tomorrow, I'll have Kun Siyuan play with us, treat it as a vacation. Alright. Gooden nodded and went back to rest. The next morning, Kun Siyuan brought Bai Weitua and the others to the Yomiao Hotel. However, Kun Siyuan's attitude made Bai Weitua and the rest very puzzled. How did it go from being so fierce to being so respectful? What was going on? After leaving the casino, Bai Weitua and the others were arranged to board a luxurious limousine. Kun Siyuan let Bai Weitua and the others sit on the luxurious sofa facing each other, but he sat on the seat next to them. This made everyone even more puzzled. What kind of game was this person playing? Tu Finlian sat behind Kun Siyuan. Young masters and young mistresses, please take a seat. Tu Feng said politely after getting on the car. Hey, big brother, don't mess with us. If Lin Yi doesn't come, are you going to throw me into the sea to feed the fishes? Zhang Duopan's face was pale. The more they acted like this, the more worried he was. Haha, don't mind me. I was just joking with you guys. Actually, our boss Kun Bro really does know Mr. Lin Yi. Not only that, he's Lin Yi's underling. Tu Feng quickly said, We're bringing you to Mr. Lin Yi now. Big brother, can you stop messing with me? I know you're enemies with that idiot Lin Yi, but we really are enemies. That Bai Weitua is Lin Yi's underling, we're not. Let me go, I really don't want to die. Zhang Duopan begged, with a bitter face. So you're really enemies with Mr. Lin Yi, and you're not his underling or friend? Kun Siyuan turned around and asked suddenly. No, it really isn't. Ask him if you don't believe me. Then, Zhang Duopan pointed at Bai Weitua and said, Bai Weitua, don't lie. It's all because of your idiot boss. Tell me the truth. What's my relationship with Lin Yi? He's right, he's enemies with boss Lin Yi and me. We both like He Mei Wei, and he's always against us. Bai Weitua nodded. Since this matter started because of boss Lin Yi, it really has nothing to do with him. Let him go. Kun Siyuan frowned and nodded. Then, he picked up the phone and dialed a number. It was the phone number of the hotel room that Lin Yi was staying in. Hello, Kun Siyuan, you're here? Lin Yi picked up the phone and asked. That it's like this. May I ask if there's a person called Zhang Duopan, is he your enemy or and that Bai Weitua? Kun Siyuan asked carefully. If he brought these 4 people with him, what if one of them was Lin Yi's enemy? If Lin Yi was unhappy, what would he do if he blamed Kun Siyuan? So he had to ask clearly. Oh, Bai Weitua is my little brother. Just like you, we're on the same level. Lin Yi said, but he joined earlier than you. You can call him Brother Bai. As for Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganha, find a place to throw them away. I don't want to see them. Lin Yi also knew that this matter was basically caused by Zhang Duopan's bragging. It had nothing to do with Bai Weitua. So, for this person, Lin Yi didn't have a good impression at all, and he didn't want to see him. Okay, I understand.
Boss.
After Kun Siyuan finished speaking, he hung up the phone. When he looked at Zhang Duopan again, his gaze was a little strange. Zhang Duopan was also a little confused. Who is Kun Siyuan calling? Why does he call the other party boss? How does the other party know me and Bai Weitua? What the hell is going on? Wait, is their boss really Lin Yi? What he said just now was also true. He wasn't playing with me? Thinking of this, Zhang Duopan immediately shivered. He looked at Kun Siyuan carefully. This big brother. I was just joking. Actually, I'm also boss Lin Yi's little brother. Tu Feng, find a place to bury these 2 people. Boss Lin Yi said that he doesn't want to see them anymore. Kun Siyuan obviously misunderstood Lin Yi's words. Lin Yi said to find a place to throw them away. He didn't want to see them. Kun Siyuan thought that he wanted him to kill these 2 people, because he had seen Lin Yi's ruthlessness yesterday. Puni Mei was killed just like that, and the 4 heaven-rank great perfection experts in the center were also killed just like that. So for these 2 small fries, wouldn't he be able to kill them just like that? Chapter 30, 460. Please come back tomorrow morning for the first and second updates. If everyone has a monthly ticket, please vote for Top Grade Cultivator, Young Master. Thank you. Even if these 2 people were not good, they were still opponents at the level of Bai Weitua. If Lin Yi made a move, it would be like using a cannon to kill a mosquito. But if Kun Siyuan took care of it, even if Lin Yi knew, he wouldn't say anything because it had nothing to do with him. Lin Yi originally hated these 2 people. Yes, Brother Kun. Tu Feng smiled and pressed a button in his hand. After the driver of the RV received it, he found a place to stop the car. In the early morning, there was no one on the road. Tu Feng, one in each hand, carried Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganhe out of the car. This scene made Bai Weitua and He Meiwei extremely surprised. They were a little dumbfounded. Both of them couldn't figure out why things would suddenly change like this. Is Tu Feng really going to kill Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganhe? However, although Bai Weitua sympathized with them, he didn't say anything to stop Kun Siyuan and Tu Feng. After all, the person Kun Siyuan called should be Lin Yi, so the person who asked him to kill Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganhe should also be Lin Yi. How could Bai Weitua refute Lin Yi's words? Therefore, Bai Weitua didn't say anything in the end and let Tu Feng take Zhang Duopan and Fan Ganhe out of the car. Big brother, let us go. We were just joking. In fact, I'm also Lin Yi's underling. I was afraid of death before, so I said that. Now I'm telling the truth. I'm really Lin Yi's underling. Don't kill me. Zhang Duopan yelled.
Oh, is it?
Tu Feng stopped and looked at Zhang Duopan faintly. You're Lin Yi's underling? Yes. I'm Lin Yi's underling. Don't kill me. Zhang Duopan nodded again and again. Do you know why I took you out of the car? Asked Tu Feng.
Why?
Zhang Duopan was stunned. Don't you want to kill me? Are you going to take me out of the car, or are you going to let me go? You're right. I was going to let you go. Tu Feng nodded and said, Brother Kun and I were just lying to Bai Weitua in the car. I brought you here to let you go.
Ah.
Really? Zhang Duopan was confused. He didn't have to die. Really? Tu Feng nodded and said, But now I plan to kill you.
Why?
Zhang Duopan was stunned. Because you said you're Lin Yi's underling. Didn't you already know that I have a grudge against Lin Yi? Tu Feng said, Fuck. Zhang Duopan's eyes widened. There's really a grudge? Then why did you say that Lin Yi was Brother Kun's boss? Aren't you messing with me? It's just to fool around. I want to see who among you is Lin Yi's lackey and who isn't. Tu Feng said, Since you've admitted that you're Lin Yi's lackey, then you can die. In fact, Tu Feng also wanted to see if Zhang Duopan was Lin Yi's lackey. He didn't want to kill the wrong person. However, after a few tests, he realized that this person lied without blinking an eye. It was obvious that he wasn't Lin Yi's lackey. In order to survive, he dared to say any nonsense. On the other hand, Bai Weitua was much more normal. From the beginning to the end, regardless of whether he killed or not, he said that he was Lin Yi's lackey. Such a person was definitely Lin Yi's lackey and not an imposter. Don't. I'm really not. Zhang Duopan quickly changed his words. He looked at Fan Ganhe and said, Fan Ganhe, tell me, are we Lin Yi's lackeys? No, we're definitely not. We often plot against Lin Yi and Bai Weitua. Fan Ganhe said quickly. Oh, let me tell you. Actually, our brother Kun is Lin Yi's lackey. We just acknowledged him yesterday. After a few tests, we found out that you're really not boss Lin Yi's lackeys. Tu Feng said with a smile, Of course, even if you're really Lin Yi's lackeys, there's no need for traitors like you to go back on your words. You can die now.
What?
Are you playing with us again? Zhang Duopan was completely desperate this time. It could be explained if they went back on their words once or twice. However, if they kept going back on their words, it was impossible to believe them. All right, stop yelling. I have to quickly get rid of you and go back to report. Tu Feng dragged the two of them directly to a dense forest on the other side of the car. Bai Weitua was holding He Meiwei's hand nervously. Things had become a little strange. Tu Feng and Kun Siyuan, who were originally Lin Yi's enemies, had suddenly become Lin Yi's lackeys. The reason they detained Bai Weitua and the others was to lure Lin Yi to avenge their sect members, but now that the roles had changed, Bai Weitua instinctively had to be on guard. Brother Kun, are you really boss Lin Yi's lackey? Bai Weitua finally could not help but ask. Haha, Brother Bai, of course I'm boss Lin Yi's lackey. You're also boss Lin Yi's lackey. However, you joined the sect before me, so I'll call you brother bye. Kun Siyun laughed and said, there were two annoying people in the car just now.
There are some things that I can't say.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Kun Siyun, the leader of Right Meow sect. I'm currently boss Lin Yi's lackey. I hope brother Bai can be magnanimous if I offended you previously. I can't be considered magnanimous. I'm just wondering, didn't you have a grudge against boss Lin Yi previously? Bai Weiduo felt a little dizzy. The change was too fast. I did have a grudge, but boss Lin Yi subdued me. That little grudge is nothing, Kun Siyun explained with a smile. I see. Bai Weiduo nodded. He finally understood that Kun Siyun was afraid of being beaten up. Along the way to the Sprout Hotel, Kun Siyun brought Bai Weiduo and He Meiwa upstairs. When they met in Lin Yi's room, Bai Weiduo finally heaved a sigh of relief. It turned out that what Kun Siyun said was true. He Meiwa looked at Lin Yi with a flash of surprise in her eyes. No matter where Lin Yi went, there seemed to be nothing that he could not settle. This really surprised He Meiwa. Take this incident as an example. It was originally a trap, but it was easily resolved by Lin Yi. Not only that, but he also subdued a lackey. Lin Yi seemed to have a lot of lackeys. Kun Siyun, it seems that you are very honest. My classmate is really fine. With Lin Yi's strength, he could see that Bai Weiduo was not injured at a glance. This made Lin Yi believe that Kun Siyun had defected. Chapter 30, 461. Where are the other two? Lin Yi asked. I told Tu Feng to kill them, Kun Siyun said. Kill them? Lin Yi blinked. Who told you to kill them? Boss Lin Yi, didn't you say you didn't want to see them anymore and threw them away? Kun Siyun blinked as well.
Oh.
Lin Yi couldn't help but smile bitterly after some thought. What I meant was for you to let them go and ignore them. But since they've already killed them, then so be it. These two are a little shady, and keeping them around will only cause more trouble. Bai Weiduo felt pity for Zhang Duopan. This guy didn't deserve to die. He didn't expect him to die, because of his own words. Trouble really came from the mouth. I'm really sorry. I thought. Kun Siyun was a bit embarrassed. It's fine, it's nothing. Right, do you have anything to do today? Lin Yi asked. No, what do you want me to do, boss Lin Yi? Kun Siyun quickly asked. Even if he had something to do, he had to push it off. What could be more important than helping boss Lin Yi? It's nothing, bring Bai Weiduo and Gooden here and have some fun. They don't know this place and they don't know where to go. With a local like you, it'll be much more convenient, Lin Yi said. No problem. Kun Siyun said, I haven't had much fun since I came to Southeast Asia. Boss Lin Yi really gave me a good opportunity. Lin Yi shook his head. This Kun Siyun was really a bootlicker. As for playing, Lin Yi didn't want to go by himself. He wanted to train in his room. He didn't have much time left, and he needed to get stronger as soon as possible. Bai Weiduo and Gooden had a local like Kun Siyun to bring them around, so they were quite powerful. Almost all the security guards knew Kun Siyun, and they were surprised at the same time. Since when did Kun Siyun become a tour guide? Where did these two come from? How could they make Kun Siyun treat them so politely? But thinking was just thinking, no one would ask about it. For a whole week, Bai Weiduo and Gooden went to all the attractions and entertainment around the area. Kun Siyun sent them on the plane back, and Lin Yi, on the other hand, had to go to Island X. He wouldn't be going back with them. Under the development and operation of his master, Island X had become a famous tourist resort. There were many flights coming and going every day, so Lin Yi easily arrived at Island X airport. Just like the last time he came back, a car with a butterfly logo was parked not far from the tarmac outside the airport. Lin Yi smiled faintly. Only Yang Qiqi and Little Jio's car could enter the airport unimpeded. They were like princesses on Island X. No one dared to stop their car. After Lin Yi got off the plane, he walked towards the car, and the person in the car saw Lin Yi as well. Yang Qiqi jumped down excitedly from the driver's seat and ran towards Lin Yi. Inside the car, Little Jio was smiling and waving at him. Lin Yi bro. Chi-Chi ran over and clung onto Lin Yi, not letting go. At this moment, Lin Yi felt like he had returned to his childhood. Every time he came back from a mission, Chi-Chi would be like this. After the confession and the knot in her heart, Chi-Chi had returned to her old self. But this time, when Lin Yi saw little Jiao, his emotions were still very complicated. The last time they met, he didn't dare to face her feelings, but this time, it was because little Jiao was about to leave. During this period of time, Lin Yi had almost become a specialist in escorting inheritors. His daily job was to escort inheritors to their sex. Little Jiao, why are you here too? Lin Yi adjusted his emotions and greeted little Jiao after getting in the car with Chi-Chi. I'm going to leave, and look at this island where the three of us lived together for so many years. I don't know when I can come back. Even if I come back, my family may not let me stay on Island X. Maybe I'll even stay in the Yellow Soil High Sect. Little Jiao's eyes flashed with sadness. Little Jiao's words made Lin Yi sigh slightly. Yes, little Jiao's rejection of the Yellow Soil High Sect was like Yuning's rejection of the Hidden House U. But at the end of the day, it was still their home. Although they said they hated it, they still hoped to go back after a while. Lin Yi laughed dryly and didn't continue the topic. He turned to Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi, the association didn't cause any trouble for you after that, did they? Lin Yi had become enemies with the association this time, and he was really afraid that they would contact Chi-Chi. No, I haven't been back for a while, and they didn't contact me. Chi-Chi shook her head. That's good. Lin Yi nodded. Happy days were always limited, and during the few days Lin Yi was on Island X, he brought Chi-Chi and little Jiao back to the old place, going around the entire island and making them many delicacies from their childhood. And the day of little Jiao's departure was approaching. Tua took a plane to Island X. This morning, Lin Yi and the others saw Tua at the airport. Tua was very excited to see Lin Yi. Boss, brother-in-law, hello. I'm so happy to see you. I've missed you so much. I heard that you went to Fiery Mountain a few days ago and cured young Shuaisian? Tua's words were like a cannon. There was a lot of information in it, and Lin Yi didn't even have time to reply. Little Jiao, you're so pretty. No wonder you're my sister. Wahahaha. Tua saw little Jiao and looked left and right, very close and happy. Little Jiao rolled her eyes helplessly. Why did she have a crazy big brother? Your boss, Lin Yi, is so normal. Can't you be a little more normal? Wow, you can even roll your eyes. That's so cool. Tua didn't seem to notice that little Jiao was annoyed at him. He thought that she was just playing with him, and kept on chattering, and so Lin Yi and little Jiao boarded the plane under Tua's chatter, and headed to the high yellow soil sect. The plane slowly rose into the air, and Lin Yi didn't know when he would be able to return to this island again. That new journey was getting closer and closer, and all the preparations from before seemed to be for the opening of that illusory sky-class island. Although Lin Yi and little Jiao were warmly received at the high yellow soil sect, especially Lin Yi, who treated them like an honored guest, and the entire sect, including Tua's father, Tua Qingsong, were very polite to Lin Yi, but Lin Yi's heart was still very heavy. You're tuning into the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.